Hello everybody and welcome back to the main action of the China Open, as now we welcome the newly crowned Shanghai Masters champion of Watchalong returning back towards the main scene, and this time around he's going to have to try and challenge someone like Saengkham to get through towards the second round. And for the time being, for now, alongside of course we're going to have Saengkham against Anthony McGill. But so far, yesterday, we've only seen one of the top 16 players to make it through towards round two. And that, of course, was in a decider with Weezer getting the best of the Alpine chain, despite being a very nervous matchup out there. Hello there, Letitia. And yeah, listen, I think for Trump, he could not have looked any better. I think he's had a couple of top seeds to be... that severe sick one would say 6-3. Now, I had a look, had a very quick look to see what head-to-head looks like. I've obviously had a look for Saengkham obvious at the start of the season, and even though he's played quite well in the Championship League, I feel like he's struggled so much in qualifiers. I just feel like it's not really going to be Saengkham to challenge Trump there, but of course you can take into account that we've had, so many underdogs to be challenging those top seeds, so you're going to have to wait and see if that's going to be the case. But for me, I do expect a very comfortable win for Judd, and we'll have to wait and see if that's going to happen. Well, of course, we're going to be on table number one. The odds for Trump still say that he's going to be by far the winner, and let's have a look. What's the likeliest scoreline that they're giving, if they're going to allow that to see? Not really. But yeah, I mean, if you talk about the individual frames, Saengkham should have the chances there, but I think it's just going to be down to Trump trying to kick in that form. And I think even though he was the winner of the Shanghai Masters, he was always going to come into this tournament because it's still going to be in China, and it's going to be a brand new event, which is going to be a huge boost for his chances, if, of course, he's going to be able to get, at least I would say, to the final. I think to the semis, it's very likely to have someone like Xington, Weezer, or Robertson to try and make it all the way to the final. And that's potentially, of course, he's going to put an end to his reign as the world number one, especially since he's going to be losing 500,000 worth of ranking points exactly after this event, before the Wuhan Open. So it's going to be very fascinating to see, because he's going to be full of motivation there, Trump. But ultimately, I think the conditions have been interested. As I say, I think I had my say on it yesterday about the pockets, but, some people would prefer to see some of the underdogs to be winning those type of matches. And let's see, of course, maybe Trump is going to put an end to that and say, well, the underdogs might be winning, but I'm still going to be a lot stronger than the majority of them. And that's exactly why I'm going to be the player to come out on top. It could still happen. Very much possible. Trump is going to be approaching this one as by far the biggest favourite of anyone that has played their matches so far, even Weezer against the Alpine chain. I think another great thing that Trump has managed to improve in himself is consistency. We've seen that a couple of times last season, where he was losing to the likes of Slesser, Stevens, I think it was, and Oliver Lyons in the Saudi Masters. So I think apart from those, an odd match coming in there, I think Trump has been probably the expert of beating those lower ranked players. But we're going to have to wait and see if that's going to be the case today. For now, Saengkham and Anthony McGill are going to get themselves introduced. But yeah, for me, I would be I would say this right now, I would be very surprised if the match goes over 8 frames. 6-2, I think, is the maximum that Saengkham is going to produce, in my point of view. But we're going to have to wait and see if that's going to be the case. The odds say it's pretty much 50-50 for a scoreline to be 6-3 or 6-2. And very unlikely to be, taking all the way to the 10 frames. But I think with Trump, it's also going to be down to not just the way that he plays, but also down to how focused is he going to be on this one. Because we've seen his brilliant test of IQ of just trying to get himself in that rhythm, realize what's happening on the other end of the table, and just play, based on that. And I think he's done that superbly well. As we're going to get the referee to be introduced down to the arena, Peggy Lee, very much an expert when it comes down to refereeing in China. Numerous finals, including the one in Shanghai Masters a couple of seasons ago. And now then, a player that has had a really good campaign in the Championship League, and of course as it stands, he's still going to be very much down to in the top 5 of the rankings, based on the 1-year list, led by Jack Jones, the winner of the Championship League. But of course, that was the only tournament of a ranking event that has been played. There's Saengkham with a lovely little smile on his face. You never see him to be in a bad mood. And yeah, you can see now the player that sometimes can be in a bad mood, very rarely smiling when it comes down to being at the table. He's always about concentration. He's always about focus. And he's always about trying to be that killer monster of a win machine. And well, Trump now, as you can see, only 36 Trump is actually. Don't know how, when is actually his birthday going to be. Let's have a look at that one. I'm not betting it's just sad to be almost washed away, and Napon is quite in a good tactic. Yeah, I suppose, but I think it's just, I don't really feel like, based on what I've seen with Trump and based on what I've seen on Saengkham early this season, I mean, it is early days. And to be fair, from what we've seen of China yesterday, of so many top seeds to be knocked out. But I think, listen, I would say this right now, either it goes the distance, or Saengkham wins, or it will be a very, very dominant win for Trump. I don't see this one being sort of half-hearted there. 6-3, 6-4, not really for me. I think if it goes all the way, I think Saengkham might actually try and take this one away, which I think is very unlikely, and that's why I'm going to say 6-0, 6-1, and Trump through to the second round to play no other than Jackson Page or Ronnie O'Sullivan. How many times have we seen Trump and Ronnie to play against each other in the second round? Well, that's going to be very interesting to see potentially in the upcoming couple of days. But for now then, it is Trump to get us underway. I think Saengkham won the toss and, well, I mean, he was doing the toss with the referee because Trump was the second player to get introduced. Another thing, of course, was the break-off that Trump was struggling in Shanghai a couple of occasions. I think he's managed to fix that before the final, and he certainly managed to fix it here. It'll be interesting to see if Saengkham still goes for this raid into the left corner if he feels like there's just about enough room for him to get past the black. But I think he's going to go for the more realistic approach. Way too much power on that one for me. Unless he finds his way right into the back of the yellow, which is exactly what he's done. And of course, that way, it's not going to be too much power. It's going to be perfect judgment there. Not only of the power, but look at the line that he's taken of the side cushion as well. So close towards the middle. And yet, it's the perfect outcome now for Saengkham. And now, Trump is the one that has to face a little bit of pressure. He's been brilliant with his safeties, though, when he comes down to Shanghai. But once again, let's see if he's going to be able to try and keep up the game. Still not the same than before his cue change. Yeah, I think that's a horrible shot there for Trump. I mean, that's not really anything like we've seen of him at the Shanghai. I mean, I think we've seen a couple of those shots there, but Saengkham's still very much on the front foot there, despite having a decent break-off there by Trump, but Napon just responding with a lot better of a safety, and all of a sudden, now then, he's just having a look to see if either one of those two reds will go into the right middle. I feel like the closer one to the blue is going to be a bit better for him. That's exactly the one that he's about to play. So, the first chance is going to be for Napon, but remember, Trump managed to make a living, literally, out of Wilson getting those first chances in the final against him. So, let's have a look if that was all planned. Of course, he wasn't, planning to get himself into a snooker situation, especially after he played such a good break-off. But I think it's going to be the most interesting way for us to start the match, to see what Napon is going to be made of in the first frame. And especially if he's going to get a chance like this where it's not quite in a 90% zone, where he's going to be able to win the frame without, thinking too much about it. He still needs to very much treat this position as a huge unresolved puzzle, but he's got a couple of raids available to him to try and get him some sort of points advantage. And yeah, of course, he's going to be trying to get used to the conditions for now. Played a brilliant shot there, and two raids, which was supposed to be a bit of an awkward problem for him. All of a sudden, it turned out to be a great addition to his scoring potentially here, as he takes the first one. The break in, yeah, of course I understand, but I feel like, it's not been too long since his cue change, I would say. So I'd still give him a little bit of time. I mean, he's only played 2 matches ever since that cue change, hasn't he? In the previous season. One against Wilson, one against Hussein. And then, of course, he had a really good campaign in Shanghai. But I don't think... Listen, he struggled with the break-off shot a couple of times in Shanghai. I think he was against Weezer. I think he wasn't against Higgins because he was struggling with nothing against John. So, yeah, he probably was against Wu because I think his break-off has been really good and really solid against Curran as well. I mean, on some of the occasions, he has given him a chance away, but I still think he was very much within reasoning. So I'd say he needs a little bit more time than that to say if it's been down to the cue, but, you know, I wouldn't say necessarily that. I'm going to argue that he definitely wasn't down to the cue because I don't really remember him having those problems before the cue change after the Tour Championship. So let's see. It's now going to be another shot there that I was just about to say he's overplayed for slightly, but of course he was trying to get into that zone of the Reds where you overplay for one of them, and all of a sudden you'll be another one available to be taken here into the left middle. Now then, let's see if he's got a chance of trying to take the cue ball away towards the green pocket out there, but he decided just to take the power away from it. And of course, with the previous shot, you know, I was focused so much on the black there that I sort of didn't mention that he's managed to get the Reds to be spread out perfectly well away from each other, put a couple of those on towards the left side cushion, and ultimately now has certainly found himself in a position where playing that cue ball through the shot on the Reds will certainly put him within touching distance there of winning the first frame, and yeah, certainly getting a very good start on himself. So they'll have a look to see if he's got the line to try and hug that inside line without touching the red. Probably he's going to have to try and, you know, use a little bit of side spin on that. So just make that cue ball to go around the blue. Does want a little bit of the angle for him to be getting down to the main back of the action there with 5 more reds available, 2 more on the side cushion, and then 1 more that he can try and get in behind off for a shot into the left or the right middle. And once again, a really good judgment of pace there with Saengkham, clearly trusting him to execute this shot about as well as he can. And now he needs to play, you know, a similar type of a shot here again. And at the end of it all, he's going to be lined up nicely on the black and the pink. Probably wants to take the pink right now because black is not really going to get him anywhere near the next couple of reds. But, I mean, he's having a look to see if playing the pink will actually free up another red for him to be taking in towards the right corner, which could work out, to be fair. But I would also say he will be down to a decent opportunity for him to give away to Chomp as well. If, of course, he is going to go for a shot that does remind you a little bit of the one that Mark Williams missed against Watchalong yesterday. It seems to have cost him the match, but Saengkham going the other way around, just trying to carefully take on the black and playing that shot with a little bit of extra power, realising that he's not going to have too much distance to cover in between the red and the cue ball. And now, all of a sudden, 2 more reds, and then he will be very much down to Saengkham with the first frame win. Of course, not necessarily going to be a huge problem for Chum, but, you know, for someone like me who predicted a very confident win, this is not going to be the way, though, for Saengkham to finish the frame. And I tell you what, 64 points. I mean, there's still 75 at the table, so I wouldn't say this is necessarily done, and I'm very surprised that an opponent's playing the shot like that. Once again, I've never been a fan of taking the power so much away from the cue ball when you try and make contact with the reds. And I'll tell you what, there's only one chance there that Chomp will need to try and pot the reds, and all of a sudden, yes, he's going to have those 2 difficult reds on the left side cushion, but he's still going to be in there with a chance. And sometimes that's about as much as Chomp would need. Now, then still, very much 13 points safe, so he doesn't have to worry about not getting on the expensive colour. And that was something that he did have to worry about. If he was taking the red on, he had to try and pot it. Couldn't quite execute it on this occasion, but for him, the red is going to get away from the left corner. Is there a requirement that Chinese referees at Chinese tournaments must call the score in English, even then when a match between 2 Chinese players? Yeah, I think so. Because once again, you have to realise that it's not going to be... I was actually thinking about that myself, but I think there's a little bit of a difference when sometimes the referee can talk to the Chinese players in Chinese, but when it comes down to the score, you have to give it to the audience as well. And the audience, of course, is not going to be down to just China. it's going to be the international. If it was a local tournament, absolutely, but because it's going to be very much on the international level, I think you do have to do it. And I also don't think it's going to be a problem for the players, because I think they rarely listen. Same here, official language. Yeah, I think they rarely listen to what the referee is saying, apart from, it's a foul or something. So, yeah, I just don't think it's a massive problem for the players, but it should be called in international language, I think. So, but I think there was a thing in German Masters. It was a long time ago. It wasn't like this season or last season, but I think they used to call the score in German, which I found fascinating because I knew what the numbers were. But I was just very, like, interested always to be looking at either watching the commentators and they'd be like, what's the break for him right now, and also just looking at sometimes the players, because not really understanding German at that point. And I think at that stage, where the scoreline wasn't automated, and it was still very important to listen to the referee. Now it is very important to miss out on the contact from above the red. I tell you what, Saengkham played that shot really, really well. At first, it didn't seem like Trump put it into too much pressure out there, but of course, having two reds at a very, very dangerous position there, at a different part of the table, well, I think now Trump is probably not going to have to go for a shot into the right corner, which would have been the first thing that he would have looked at, but I think you probably have to put it down to, if you go for that red into the corner, you're always going to leave something out, even without that red, should you miss it, and that wasn't an easy shot. So, in spite of, I think Trump is probably at that position where he can afford to be turning this into a one-frame shootout, a one-shot shootout for the frame, but I think for the same time of asking, Saengkham now trying to go for an attacking shot on the red, didn't really work out. Now he needs a little bit of luck off the black there that he managed to get. So let's see now what the decision is going to be from Judd's point of view. Does he want to try and bring one of the reds into the open play? Or does he want to try and go for the red into the left middle? The answer is just try and improve the position for now. And once again places the cue ball really nicely on towards the top part of the table. So yeah, I think he will be down to a decent chance for Saengkham to get himself. Well, I mean, he's looking at the plans, which is interesting, because there is distance in between the two reds, and I'm not sure how focused is he going to be on trying to get the cue ball past the corridor of those two reds. But of course, he only needs a colour in the red, and he got the red in. Now then, is he going to be on the colour, or is he going to just try and carefully roll the cue ball in behind the brown here? I think he will be on the colour. So, unfortunate there from Trump, because that plant only formed because of him trying to bring one of those reds into the open play. And now Saengkham probably trying to go for the brown in towards the middle. And he got that one in. So that should be very much frame over. And the first frame, after a little bit of a tense exchange, is now going to be won by Nippon Saengkham. And Trump, of course, is going to have to join the list of the likes of Barry Hawkins, Mark Williams, Ding Junhui, and Moise to a certain extent. Losing out on the first couple of frames and finding themselves to be trailing by a frame or two. And of course, Moise was the only player able to recover from that, after the only time he was actually behind in that match against Yao Bencheng was the opening frame. And ever since that point, he was able to take a very confident lead out there. So then, a shot on the pink into the right middle will get him up to 15 points, and just trying to make a total clearance. Once again, just like it was from Yao Bencheng's point of view, it's now going to be a frame to nil, which is not really something that you often see, especially against the top-seeded player, with Trump still retaining that status as, for this tournament, of course, he is going to be status as the world number 2, and as the number 2 seed, because, of course, you are going to have the reigning champion of Neil Robertson from 7 years ago, actually. I do wonder, actually, what would have happened if someone like Peter Ebdon won that tournament, and he's obviously not on the tour. I mean, do you just get rid of that top seed, and do you just give it, like, according to the official rankings, or what do you do? Because I think that's probably the only way, but at the same time, what's going to be the procedure for it? As now then the red is going to be missed along the side cushion, and Saengkham is going to finish the scoring with 94 points in total, 30 on the current break, and at the end of it all, he will be down to 64 and 30, the breaks that Naporn Saengkham needed to get himself a frame ahead now of Judge Trump, and Trump of course will still be far away from being in a panic mode, but it is a very promising frame there from Saengkham, and now he finds himself being in a 1-0 lead, and Anthony McGill is about to find himself 1-0 behind after Saengkham had a very good break of 54 points. He's now up to 68, and McGill has fluked the red, which he had no intention of doing. I think that might be frame conceded for him at this stage, because now he would need 3 snookers unless he's able to get a fairly expensive colour out of the way. So let's see if that's going to be the case. But yeah, I think from the neutral's perspective, once again, which, I still want to see that Trump against O'Sullivan match. So I'm not necessarily neutral on this occasion, but I think it's a great thing for the game that Naporn managed to take an early lead. Ball is round, anything can happen, is what happened with Wu and the other 3 more ranked higher players, Williams, Ding and Hawkins. Yes, that's true, but I still think you shouldn't really compare the consistency of Judge Trump to all the other players. I think he's way better when it comes down to overcoming the lower ranked players, especially when it comes down to 2026. I mean, you name me one player outside of the top 16 that Trump has lost to. I mean, I'm thinking of, who did he lose to in the World Grand Prix? Because he lost quite early. Li Beifan, I think it was, which is still a top 32 player. But yeah, I mean, he won the German Masters. He lost to Higgins in the Masters. He lost to Higgins in the Players' Championship. Obviously, Li Beifan in the World Grand Prix. The World Open, he lost to Chupchaya, which won the tournament. Then in the Crucible, he lost to Vafay. So yeah, he's been really, really solid. But of course, another point is that towards the second part of the season, you don't necessarily play too many players from outside the top 32 because you've got so many tournaments like the Players Series. And that's, of course, is going to be consisting of the best players for the season. So that's only going to be something like top 16. But still, the bottom line is I think Trump is going to be by far their favourite. And even if, I would still say, even if Saengkham takes a 3-0 lead, I mean, it'll be a concern for Trump for sure, but I still think he'd be the favourite. Trump is like an old diesel and shouldn't need time to hot up. If by frame 3 and things are against him, you better watch out. Well, I'll tell you what, he's certainly probably just trying to warm up the cylinders, because I don't think Trump is anything but old. He's anything but old to me. I mean, he's 36 years of age. He'll be 37 in August. So by the end of the month, but I still think he's nowhere near to be called old. And I mean, look at the way that he's playing. There's absolutely no fatigue. And even though I was, not necessarily a fan of him blaming old in the queue, but I think ever since the queue change, he hasn't really had a bad campaign like he had in the Tour Championship, although he did have a very poor shot there. And playing that with too much pace in the end on the red. He's going to bounce away from the pack, and let's see if Saengkham is able to cut this red into the middle. I mean, he can go for it, but he's going to have to try and position the cue ball very much on the lower third of the table. It's possible, though. But of course, if you miss hit the red, and you miss it by a long way, which he sort of did a little bit, that's going to impact the position of the cue ball as well, but not on this occasion. The red is going to stay out, but it was a really good shot there from the cue ball's perspective. Always going to have the paint covering the right middle in case the red would have stayed over that pocket, but it's gone all the way to the top edge of the table, and Trump is just carefully going to try and place that one in behind the brown and the green. But so far, it's not really getting the rhythm here, and he's just played another poor shot there in relation to leaving a very easy safety away to Saengkham. And I think, can he try and cut this one in? No, he can't. Thought for a second there, with the camera angle switching. Well, once again, I say Saengkham is going to be in the lead. It's a very interesting shot selection that he's played, because depending on the situation with the reds on the left-hand side there, Trump might be considering a red to be taken into the right corner here. But once again, going for a safety, and once again not nailing that one perfectly well. Catching the yellow this time around. Poor Judd Old Diesel. I agree, sometimes short format matches don't fit for him, even if I'm pretty sure I heard him say he prefers this. Well, let's see. I've seen him So on numerous occasions that he was down to the pockets, that he was losing a couple of the matches, which first I found was a stupid statement, and I felt like he was just desperate. But the more time goes since that Champion of Champions statement, the more I want to apologise to him and say that he's been absolutely correct. And Saengkham there gets very, very fortunate, and we might be heading for a re-rack here, because as he was taking a red away in towards the right corner now, he's left a red over the left corner, and with no way through towards that place of the table, unless we get some sort of thing to be going on here, I think he will be down to a re-rack to come up shortly. Now the Trump is clearly going to be interested to try and test his IQ here in relation to, I mean, if he can try and get the cue ball away, but I mean, once again, as I say, getting the cue ball away to the top part of the table is going to be a very risky thing to do. So he decided to try and place the cue ball to be exactly behind the black there. Very risky shot indeed, but the bottom line is there was a risk in that shot, but is he going to get him anything out of it? Because Saengkham is thinking about, trying to swerve for that red over the left corner, but ultimately has he got a chance to just block off that path for the cue ball and place it in behind the pink and those reds there with the white. So let's see what's going to happen here then. For now, still looking to try and work out the way that he wants to approach this shot. I think he is going to be just trying to put the cue ball closer towards being in behind the pink. That's not the line that he's taken. He needs to be cautious of getting too close towards the green pocket. And now let's see if he's played this shot well enough. I think he has, because Trump is not even thinking about going for that red into the left corner. But of course, he's still going to have a red very close to him, right below the bulk line. And that one is going to be a good opportunity for him just to aim towards the right corner. And wow, look at that for a shot. That was brilliant there from Judd. Once again, I am going to be very much that negative person saying, does that happen in the Leicester Arena? And the fitting of the cloth that he's going to be out there, because I think it's a great shot there from Chon, but I also think, that's a horrible shot that he's playing. I mean, what is he doing? Trying to take the yellow away completely and get the cue ball in behind the brown. It's an amateur shot for you to play, but I'm pretty sure Saengkham is able to get through to the red, and even if he's not, that's still a poor shot because it allows a very simple one cushion escape there for Nippon Saengkham. And let's see what he's going to be doing there. But I mean, that was a little bit do or die tactic, because I think that was a very clear-cut chance of trying to pot the red rather than get it away from the pocket. And I think Saengkham was pretty fortunate not to give that one away. So then, once again, it's a chance here for Trump to be heading for a shot in towards left middle or the right middle here. Play the cue ball carefully well in towards the black here. And, this time around, after he played that shot with so much power, the red is just going to bounce his way out of the pocket. But I think because of how much power there was injected on that shot, the red has gone quite far down the table. And it's still going to be down to a shot on the red taken, potentially into the green pocket. And at this stage, I think it's probably the only red that he can give away to Trump. Had to play that shot with power, and he got that one in as well. So let's see what the situation is now going to be with Nippon, because Trump wasn't quite on the collar after his brilliant shot into the corner now. Let's see if there is going to be an opportunity for the black to disappear into the left corner right now. And he's played that shot with full power, trying to get himself the best possible position. And I tell you what, it certainly worked out for him on this occasion. Now then, 8 plays to 1. And, certainly got plenty of reds available to him. But once again, let's see the way this break is going to go, because I just feel like it's getting more and more ridiculous where, you get one chance, and because of the pot success being probably the biggest thing for the players below the top 32 out there, since you've got these wide pockets, he's going to fix it in no time. And I think that's genuinely the reason why, we've seen Gilbert to be deemed so comfortably. We've seen Yao Buncheng to take it to decider with a world champion. And then we've seen, I think Joey Long is a lot more, reasonable for him to beat Williams, because I think Joe had a great start to the season and Williams had an ordinary one to say the least. But when it comes down to, players like Saengkham just getting those chances in so easy against players like Trump, I just feel like there is something in there, because you don't really see that in tournaments in the UK, do you? And I wonder why. Is it the conditions? I doubt it. Is it the audience? I doubt it even more. It may be down to the clothing of the table. And once again, I understand it's going to be down to the China Open and their sort of way of seeing it, but surely you need to introduce some of the requirements of the pocket sizes, because that's just, you're turning snooker into pool for me. And I said it yesterday, and I'm seeing the same thing again. You go for that long range. Even the shot that Trump has gone for, you don't expect that to go in 7 out of 10 occasions, but all of a sudden he nails that one, and then the next shot that his opponent plays, it's a really difficult shot as well, after how close the cue ball was in around the black ball cushion. All of a sudden, 32 points later, he's now comfortably in the lead, and well, I know the standard has been very much going through the roof, but we haven't seen these type of issues there at the Shanghai Masters, because even though the pockets have been quite generous out there, I probably wouldn't say that they were playing to the advantage of players just about as much here. Now, the 33 points is the lead for now for Saengkham, and he's still going for all reds and all blacks combinations. So I think for him, of course, he doesn't have to worry about the conditions, and with that red that Trump has taken, of course, he doesn't have to worry about the maximum either. But yeah, I think the only thing that he has to worry about for the rest of the match there is just getting that position to be nailed on for him. And now 41 plays 1 in relation to the points that he scores. Carefully trying to get that cue ball on the left-hand side of the race, and just about creeps in behind there, so that he's going to have enough of the angle to try and force the cue ball to, well, either for the pink or the black there. Entirely up to him on what he wants to achieve with it. And he can always go for another red into the middle if he wants to try and play for the blue here alternatively. But as I said, I did say I would see Trump as the favourite, even if he was 3-0 down. But, with him scoring 1 point in the opening 2 frames, let's see if that's going to be something to change. Of course, Saengkham still has to navigate his way through. And wow, what a timing that was. What a mistake from Saengkham. And that was certainly, well, no matter how wide you make the pockets out there, whenever and whichever table you're going to be talking about, you catch that front jaw off the middle, you're always going to have to pay the price. That's exactly what happens. And Trump now is going to try and, make himself to go on a run in relation to scoring some good points. But once again, as he was in a previous frame, he does find himself in a position where it's pretty much total clearance or nothing. 83 points down. And now looking at, probably, I don't know, how many reds would you say in open play? 1? That's probably the one that he's already managed to put. Yeah, a very difficult position to get himself started with. And, I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to run himself out of options now. But he's played a really good effort of a shot there. And I think he's not really going to get the price on this particular occasion. Let's see if he's going to get the chance of playing the red into the left corner. It doesn't seem that way, but yeah, he basically tried to take the yellow into the left middle, take that cue ball on a journey around the table. And once again, it goes both ways. I'm not saying it's just for Saengkham there to benefit, but this red would have never been considered there by Trump in no normal circumstance. But to be fair, they missed that one by an absolute mile. And to be fair, got the cue ball in a very nice position for him, but still now finds himself 4 points over to 48, so 44 behind, and 83 at the table. So Saengkham is just about within that 50% zone, but ultimately he's got 2 more reds on the side cushions, and of course these are the reds that Trump will need, as now he was the player to go for a very attacking shot there on the red, but at the end of it all, it's going to be an attacking shot, which is going to be a gift there for Judd Trump, with that red staying over the corner. Now it's going to be very interesting to see the way that Trump wants to try and respond to this one. Whether he wants to try and take the red away with a black straight away. He needs to play a very precise shot, and he has done so. After being on the verge there of losing out on the frame, he's now put himself right back in the action there after that mistake from his opponent. And surely he needs to try and get those reds away from the side cushion as soon as he possibly can, whilst he's still got plenty of other reds as an opportunity for him, in case he runs himself out of position here. So then plays a very careful shot on the red, positioning himself for the ping now to be taken in towards the left corner, and now having a very good look at the position of the reds and of the pink as well. So playing this one with a little bit of topspin, making sure that he's got that cue ball through that wide area of the gap. And now still looking to try and get the position to be sorted out for the red taken into the right corner. Now then, a shot with backspin. Surely he's going to be aiming for that red next to the left middle. But once again, I mean, I'm surprised that Chom hasn't done that yet. He clearly knows something that I don't know. Maybe he feels like he doesn't really have to do anything with those two reds, which, I mean, I can believe that on the red closest to the left middle. I can very hardly believe that on the red closest to the left side cushion. But for now, of course, alternatively, maybe he's just feeling that with all the pressure, he might have to just try and find himself to be scoring as many points as he can. Because, of course, he wants to try and avoid being 2-0 down. And that way, of course, he would leave Saengkham to be needing the player. To be the player needing the remaining two reds as well. Because now then, Trump is going to be only 13 points behind. And still looking at the chance for taking that red away into the corner. Play the cue ball through the left side cushion here. Get himself lined up for the black now. To be taken into the right corner. And this is where the biggest issue for me comes in. Because I think he's very straight on the black. And for you to take that red away comfortably next to the middle, you need to be about as close as you can be towards it. And yeah, Trump clearly wasn't straight because of how much of the power and angle he was able to find on the cue ball. Now then, looking to try and find himself ahead in this frame for the second time here, after scoring that brilliant red into the right part of the table. But wow, I mean, I said he needed to be right in behind of that red, but was that greedy from Trump? I mean, that's one of the easiest shots that you're going to miss now. No, the pocket was very tight for him, but still, how little distance there was in between the red and the pocket there. That's a horrible miss there by Judd, and he's very, very lucky not to give the same red away. Well, I suppose if you're going to be missing reds like this, then I can understand why he has to take all the other reds first, because now, as I say, both him and Saengkham will need the remaining two reds altogether. And yeah, of course, for now, it's the pawn that has played a good shot there to get the cue ball into a safe position. And Chom now needs that red to go over the middle. And when I say over the middle, I mean beyond the possible angle. And well, when it rains and pours there for Chom for now, you're going to be very disappointed with how this match has gone so far. And even with that previous opportunity that he wasn't able to take, now all of a sudden, he's left the red over the middle. And yeah, let's see what Saengkham is going to be able to achieve here. He needs a very good shot now on the pink. Or the blue. I mean, I'm surprised here that he's trying to play for the blue. Let's see what he can try and achieve here. I mean, I don't think he's going to be looking at just trying to drop the cue ball in behind the red. It's going to be way too risky. So he's still going to go for the pink. Let's see if he's going to get the contact on the red. He will. And yeah, I tell you what, it's a brilliant shot there from the pawn. Even though he's going to still run himself a little bit wide than that red. This is where Trump should have done better. He hasn't. And now just one shot later, his opponent is about to punish him. I mean, such an easy mistake to make. Just taking your eye off the pot there for a single second. But now, of course, it's down to Saengkham to try and make things right there for himself. Getting that last red into the left middle. And now with a really good opportunity to put the yellow away as well. 13 points clear, so he will need the bow colours. And then that's going to be game over for the second frame. As he runs himself a little bit tight on the green, but should be able... Oh, sorry, I forgot that he's going to have to take the yellow twice there. That's the reason why he run himself a little bit tight on the green, so that he's going to have a better angle on the yellow. Still needing the rest, though. I think might be for the reason of the blue. And this time around, he's going to be very tight on the green, but yeah, he should be able to hold this one for the brown. Although he will need good cueing. So let's see, we've seen the top players to be doing that time and time again. See the technique that he's going to try and use here. And, well, I mean, he's trying to go the other way around. Puts a little bit more distance in between the cue and the brown. And also gets the white closer away towards the left side cushion. But ultimately now, it is the frame ball. 20 points ahead. 22 at the table. And is he going to beat the cue ball to go all the way now for the blue? And he will be. Very much a 2-0 lead here for Nippon Saengkham. Well, I mean, Trump's still got a really good chance of trying to make it back level at the intermission. But I think at this stage, we've seen enough mistakes there from Trump to say that it's not just down to Saengkham playing quite well. It's also down to Trump not quite playing as well. And at the end, a break of 30 points once again is going to be enough there for Nippon to try and take him over the finish line, as he now takes another frame away from Watchalong, and the world number 1 could find himself in trouble if he loses another frame number 3, because for now, it is Saengkham that has got the lead of 2 frames to 0, and I think Trump is going to be pretty happy with having a race to 6 frames right now, because if he was a race to 4, then I think he'd find himself in a very difficult position. For now, I still think he's by far the favourite to win this match, but he needs to be cautious of anything that happens in the remainder of this mini session. Yeah, I think very quick analysis there. I think Saengkham has done well in relation to, yes, he had that weird mistake on the red in the first frame, where he just tried to make a cannon from the blue while taking the power away from the cue ball, which was always going to end a disaster for him, and he did. And at the same time, I think for the second frame, it was a mistake for him to be playing a shot like that, but at the same time, it was down to a bit of a forced error from himself, and ultimately just feel like he did find himself in a position of having to redeem himself later on, and I think he's done that quite well when it comes down to the actual outcome of the frame. And ultimately, when you're not playing well, especially against the world number 1, and you still win the frame, that's certainly a sign of a true usually a champion. In the Nippon Saengkham's perspective, it's probably going to be a sign of a really good player out there. But for now, it's still going to be down to Trump to try and use this as a great advantage for him, as Saengkham has made the mistake on a 6-colour clearance. So Anthony McGill is about to try and take that one away from the player from China. And, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when it comes down to the top 16 players, because you could always see themselves to be in a position of, if you're going to be losing out on so many of the top 16 players, then it's always going to be down to, eventually one of the underdogs will come into place and, potentially allow us to be set up with a very exciting battle on our hands. But for now, it's the third frame that is about to begin, and Trump is going to be the player looking to break off here, and he needs a very clean and a very good starting chance here when it comes down to winning that frame, preferably for him in a single visit to the table as well, because if he does that, all of a sudden he could put complete hold there to momentum of the Nippon Saengkham and just try and accelerate Trump away into the open space there, where it's just going to be him, the tip of the queue itself, and then 147 points for him to try and play for. What he doesn't want to do is, of course, to get frustrated with himself, and just needs to try and keep doing what he does. Hopefully for him, improve on a couple of those small factors, like the positional play, but also the pot success has been way below the average. I think he's also wasted a couple of really good opportunities there when it comes down to playing a good safety. But for now, it is not a great break-off there from Trump, and this time around, Saengkham clearly trying to take a very careful approach there when it comes down to, the first 2 frames. He didn't really try and get himself urging to be on the front foot too much, and hasn't really changed the tactics so far in frame number 3 either. So then a chance for Trump to get the red away, and he tried to double that one in, and look at that for a shot. That was brilliant there from Judd. It seemed like that was going to be heading a little bit closer to the front shot all the way, but look at the shot that he's played there. Brilliant chance now that he's created for himself, and potentially that's exactly what he needed there. Didn't need to be so close to be running himself out of position though. So let's see if he's going to be still on that raid to the right corner. That fantastic double that he's played. Tell you what, he doesn't really want to force himself to be going for a shot into the yellow pocket now. And at the end of it, he's going to have to go for a shot into the left corner instead. I mean, It's difficult. You should be able to manage the passing angle. And let's see what's going to happen when it comes down to a positional play. Just wants to be a little bit further away from the red, but he seems like he's going to be fine on this particular occasion. So then, all down to the green. All down to trying to get that cue ball away and down to the lower end of the table. But now then, just play the shot with a little bit of backspin. Probably try and find himself to be in a position of trying to play for the black into the right corner. As he has now played this one with top spin instead. So could have tried to hold that one for the blue. Decided not to do that on this occasion. But I still think he might have to use the blue in a couple of shots time. Because as it stands, he still finds himself in a position where he will eventually run out of reds. And it's probably going to happen quite soon for him as well. As he still now positions himself to be taking another red away. Take that one carefully well into the left corner, but didn't want the cue ball to be getting stuck towards the left side cushion. So, not necessarily the easiest shot now that he's going to leave himself with on the black. As he now puts himself 21 points clear when he comes down to this particular frame. Now, then looking at the black, he still needs to try and take this one away first, and he hasn't. So that's going to be drifting wide. The red is still going to be available there for Saengkham to be taken into the middle, and he just feel like he didn't really get hold of that position at any point during that break. When it seemed like he was going to do that after the brilliant first shot on the double, it just seemed like he was a little bit tense on the black that he's taken into the left corner. And now, well, you can't say that Saengkham has got a really good chance ahead of him, but he's certainly got an opportunity of some sort to try and score some good points. And with only 20 points in between himself and his opponent, it still could be very much his frame in the making as well. Now then, taking the blue away as a thought, but in the end, maybe Saengkham now is going to be feeling that he's not quite going to be in that mindset that he was in the previous two frames, although still, you would absolutely expect him to take that blue away with no issues. But yeah, I mean, maybe it is just starting to get to a point where maybe a little bit of nerves, maybe a little bit of pressure, or maybe just a little bit of too much distance in between the cue ball and the blue could also be a factor. But anyway, it's now going to be just a single point that he now scores, and he's going to try and find his chances of taking that cue ball in towards those reds. Well, he's not going to get anything out of it though, unless there is a plant available into the right middle. But I don't think he's going to put his eggs in that particular basket. Way too much distance in between those two reds. So then, 26 points in between the two reds, and well, still a chance here for Chomp to try and get that cue ball lined up for the blue if he wants to. But I think more importantly, he might have to try, even though he's the player in the lead. The position of the reds is going to be sort of down to the factor of potentially trying to play the shot with plenty of backspin and just try and get himself in that position where the cue ball won't really see those dangerous reds to him, and therefore he's going to get a decent opportunity of just blocking off the access towards those reds for Saengkham, and therefore going to leave himself with a really good chance of playing a safety shot there into the left part of the bunch, which of course is always going to separate the reds away from each other. Now then, let's see. Potentially the pink, the red on the right of the pink is going to be available, but always difficult to try and cut those ones in. And now it's very interesting to see if the red on the left-hand side of the blue is now going to be possible, because if it's not, I suppose there's still going to be a red into the green pocket that Chomp can take out there, but I also think it could have been a little bit easier for him if he just has got that red available in towards the left corner now to try and take. And therefore, seems to be the shot that Chomp is looking for right now, and if anything, he had the ability to play that shot with a little bit of spin there to try and get the cue ball closer to be on the top side of a blue. Now then, 27 points clear of any danger from Saengkham, and now just trying to make sure he does finally get himself a frame on the board in the most convincing fashion that he possibly can. Trying to get himself closer towards the main pack of the reds. Still a little bit of work to do for him as he gets closer to the middle one. I think he's going to be playing for the pink here, which, he's probably going to come into place of the black ball spot there for that one not to be available. And he may go on the pink spot, but I think Trump would like it to go onto the spot of the black there, for the black to be completely out of position, but also for him to try and keep those two reds next to the pink spot to be available to himself. Although that's not going to be something that the referee is going to care about too much. And she clearly feels like the pink is going to go back on its own spot, so that's the case. So then another red disappears into the right corner as Trump carefully takes that shot away. Still going to have the pink to be available to him in towards the left part of the table. And now then, this is probably where he's going to be playing for some of the easier reds available to him. Probably the one into the left middle or the right corner. Depends on if the cue is going to be able to see past the pink out there. Which of course Trump would have had a nice little taste of what that's going to look like on the previous time of asking. But still, even though he does find himself being 2-0 down, he is going to find himself in a very healthy position when it comes down to the match score overall. Because he's still going to be the favourite individually per those frames, and therefore still looking just to get himself in that rhythm of scoring some good points, being able to take those reds away with some expensive colours. And whether it comes down to the easy position or the one which is going to be a little bit more difficult for him, as he now makes it highest break of the match so far for him in this particular effort, because he still had that break of 43 points on the previous frame, but wasn't really able to do anything with that on that particular occasion. So then 60 points clear, ahead by 59 there as it stands. And still, Saengkham is going to be looking at the snooker here if he is to come back to the table right now, but yeah, probably very unlikely thing to happen when it comes down to a shot on the blue here. Trying to take it carefully well, with plenty of topspin required there for the shot on the cue ball. And now just positioning himself nicely to, of course, he's not going to be able to make a century break out of this one, but you could always try and make a break of 80 plus there if he is to make a total clearance, or to get somewhere near it, as he now takes a very careful and delicate shot away in towards the left part of the table. Now then, a shot at the blue will get him up to the reds at the top edge of the table here. So playing for the reds in towards the yellow pocket will certainly be a great advantage to him at that particular stage, but ultimately have to put it down to a shot on the reds, potentially a positional shot on the blue here as well, and then he's going to be able to get himself into a very nice position of taking the blue away. And at that stage, he's got a great chance of just positioning himself nicely to get a couple of those difficult shots out of the way. And then as soon as he's going to be able to position himself nicely for a shot on towards the yellow, as he now tries to bring the black into the play as well. Doesn't want the black to go into the path of the yellow. And yeah, he's actually going to be looking somehow at a total clearance out of this position, which is going to be super impressive for him, as he now takes the sequence of yellow, red and the blue here. So then still looking at a chance of the yellow for him to try and pot. As he now does that, he's still going to have a chance of potting the green away. So all in all, century incoming. He can't quite make the century here. He's not going to have enough points available to him, but he's still very much looking for a really good chance of trying to make it down to a little bit of exhibition stuff at the end. As he's now looking at the highest that he can make is going to be a break of 83 points at this stage. He's going to be more than 100 points that he scores in this particular frame, but he's not quite going to be able to make it all a break of 3-digit numbers there when it comes down to a single visit to the table after that break of 26 points that he had at the starting point of a frame. But what he certainly can do is to play those brilliant exhibition shots there. Look at how well he manages to control the cue ball perfectly in for the black. Now then, he will be down to a total clearance in the making from Watchalong, and it's a break of 107 points at the end. Sorry, a break of 80 points at the end for him. Not century break, but exhibition indeed. It was, you have to say, it was certainly the case for him. And a break of 83 points there for Watchalong is still going to be the highest that we've seen of, I'm pretty sure both of the players out there, because Saengkham was quite close to making a century break, but sort of run himself out of position a little bit. But ultimately, and a lot more importantly, it is now Trump just one frame away from Saengkham, despite struggling massively in the opening 2 frames. He was able to have a very confident frame number 3, and now finds himself right back in the mix there in between himself and Nippon Saengkham. And yeah, going to be very interesting to see the way that the other match in this part of the draw is going to go. With that one, of course, featuring Ronnie O'Sullivan and Jackson Page out there as well. So that's going to be, you know, the winner of this pair will play the winner of Jackson Page against Ronnie. So it's going to be very interesting to see if we are going to get the first time in 14 months where Trump will indeed play against Ronnie. And I say in 14 months, I'm not sure if it's going to be the first time in 2 seasons that we're actually going to see Trump to play against Ronnie O'Sullivan there. But going to have to wait a little bit longer for that to be the case. And of course, Trump still needs to try and find 2 more frames to be under his belt until he's going to be able to get his nose ahead. As meanwhile, Saengkham is about to get his nose ahead as he's got a break of 89 points and make that 96 as he puts himself comfortably clear of Anthony McGill in the 3rd frame of asking. Of course, you know, Saengkham is going to be very much an expert when it comes down to the Wuhan Open. He's managed to win that tournament twice, with it only existing for 2 years as well, which is super impressive, but ultimately would love to get himself a couple of 100,000 worth of ranking points here when it comes down to his bid of making it down towards the top 8, and very much still being his highest ranking in the world in his career as well, as he now makes a century break against Anthony McGill and still going for a potential break of 139 there after only using the blue on 4 of those occasions to lose out 8 points out of the maximum effort. But seems like he's running himself a little bit too straight on the black there, so that total clearance might have to come to an end there. We're going to come to a start here in this frame number 4, as it's now been just under an hour since this match has got underway, and now it's Nippon Saengkham to get us underway with a break-off shot, placing that cue ball in between the yellow and the brown, and trying to play with all the power in the world, carefully getting it through towards the right side cushion, and of course making sure that he's still got a great chance of playing the shot away after Trump has played his own safety. I don't think there's going to be any effort from Trump to go for an aggressive shot here though, as he tries to very carefully pick his way out through the red. Let's see how well he's going to be able to judge the spin though. Not quite able to get the cue ball in behind the green, but ultimately I think he's able to prevent Saengkham from seeing the dangerous red into the left corner, getting the cue ball to being behind the blue here on this occasion. So then still a chance for Nippon to take the red away in towards the left part of the table, play that one with plenty of power, and just get the cue ball into the open space there. Doesn't really want to have a contact with the brown though, and well, I said Trump was able to get the cover on the dangerous red away. I'm not sure the same can be said about Nippon there, because he's left 2 of those attacking opportunities over to Trump, and therefore there will be a chance here for Judd to get himself back in the lead for yet another frame, although he didn't really catch the red as well as he wanted to, and also getting the black to be touched in the meantime. Yeah, you can see it just about potted the red there, and that just about has sort of resulted in him not being able to see any of those colours. So therefore he will be down to probably a shot on the green. He might be able to have a little bit of a swerve around there. That's exactly what he's done. And actually still, I mean, look at that for a shot. That is pure brilliance there from Chum. Just when he seems like he's running himself out of position, look at how much spin and look at how well he managed to judge the pace out there. I mean, that was brilliant. To the place where he couldn't really see enough of a portion of the green out there. Now, he finds himself in a position where it's Saengkham that has to find himself out of a snooker situation, and it's nowhere near as easy as it was for Chum there, because there's not going to be a sign of a swerve available. He's going to have to hit this one from the cushion, and I mean, ideally and logically, you probably want to make it into the right side cushion out there, but going to be plenty of reds in case you misjudge the line there for you to try and catch, which you don't really want to see the cue ball to be anywhere near off. So let's see, it's all about the pace judgment, and if he goes for the pink, it's not going to be the biggest issue, but of course if he allows Trump to be seeing one of those dangerous reds there. So he got the contact on the red. Let's see if Trump is going to be walking away with a smiley face there, seeing that he's got a chance of trying to go for a red available to him, either into the left or the right corner. For now, he's probably going to be looking at the safety shot there to play. Tiger here, which means no live shot. Well, I mean, we're going to see there. For now, we're still seeing an opportunity for a shot there on once again. I mean, look at that. That is back to Shanghai Masters Judd Trump. That is absolutely brilliant. And he's allowed himself to be in a very comfortable position yet again out there, Judd. Look at how well he was able to judge the pace in behind the brown. And I'm happy for Wafei to win against the Trump, but sad Alan would join. Yeah, I mean, both McGill and Wafei has managed to win very comfortably against the respective wildcards, but at the same time, you have to put it down to a really good form of, Alan that we've seen of the World Championship. Not really being tested out there in the first 3 tournaments of the season. Of course, if you count the Championship League as well, you can make it down to the 4 tournaments too. But I think it is just down to the return of Mark Cullen that is going to be highly anticipated on the World Snooker Tour. As for now, it was a really good attempt there from Nippon Saengkham, but I'm not sure he was able to get enough purchase on that one so that the cue ball is going to be past the line there off the Reds and ultimately allowing himself with, Saengkham still to be coming back to the table very shortly here, because I think good queuing here for Trump. He's going to be all down to a good shot on the Reds. Play this one with plenty of power and, well, maybe a little bit too much power there. Somehow, Trump has not been able to pot that red into the corner, and now it is going to be all down to a shot of the red available into the right corner. Well, I mean, let's see if Saengkham is able to take this chance, because he still finds himself in the lead here, which is going to be a surprising thing, but ultimately, you also have to put it down to a good shot here, and even though he does have a bit of a limit here when he comes down to reds available to him. Double kiss of death. Yeah, he was. I mean, I think as soon as he missed that red, he doesn't really have the right to be saying that he's unlucky there, because he was always going to have plenty of reds available there for Nippon Saengkham to be available if he was unable to make that red in towards the left corner. And at the end of it all, you have to put it down to just a little bit unfortunate there from Judd, but also you have to make that red in if you're going to be competing at the professional level. Now then, Saengkham has got his own troubles here to be sorted out, and he's got a decent line off the cue ball to try and take it all the way for the right-hand side of the cue ball, and ultimately it doesn't seem like he's going to be focused about this one too much here. So yeah, just playing for the red on the left corner, then a transitional shot on the black. And I feel like if he gets those 4 reds out of the way, he shouldn't really experience too many of the issues when he comes down to a shot on the black here for him to be taking. Now then, just a very careful line of the black that he's left himself with, being straight on the cue ball, and now having to try and play the cue ball closer towards the reds on the black ball cushion, which is a surprising thing that he's done there, I have to say, because I thought he might actually try and ignore that red for a while until he needs to actually pot that one away. But we'll see. It's not quite on the cushion, which always makes those type of shots to be a little bit more difficult. And, well, that's no way that's going to be going in. And so I'm completely misjudged the way that he caught that red. Way too thick on him on the end of it. And now Trump is going to get a really good chance of playing for the red in towards the left corner and ultimately just getting that cue ball to be further away from the black now. So then, of course, alternatively for Trump, he now only finds himself to be 14 points behind after taking that red away, and still in a very comfortable lead when he comes down to the chances that he's, well, certainly going to get to himself when he comes down to what's going to happen here then. A shot on the black into the right corner, and needs to be on the red into the right part of the table here as well. And I don't think he's been able to get this one quite as much on target as he would have liked there. I just feel like he caught the odd red out on the lower end of the pack there for the cue ball to get into. And now he will be all down to a shot on the black. Not quite to be as straightforward as he would have been, but he's now able to recover to a decent extent there, having a chance to play for the black in towards the right corner. And ultimately here, a shot on the cue ball. He's just going to place that cue ball towards the red, on towards the left-hand side of it. And ultimately still able to find himself with a really good situation when he comes down to taking a red away in towards the left corner. And being very, very cautious when he comes down to a shot on the black there into the right corner. So whether it was a double kiss of death or not, it certainly was another mistake there from Saengkham, which we've seen plenty of already. And as I say, I think he was very strange and very weird, the fact that he had to actually force himself to be taking that shot on there in the first place, because, as I said, I mean, that was not the raid that you want to play for in any condition during the match, because unless you're going to be finding yourself in a very comfortable position when it comes down to the scoring, you always have to try and take the easier reds away. And look at how well Trump was able to take the cue ball into the bunch of reds there, spread them out away from each other, and all of a sudden, he now finds himself in a position being 10 points clear. And ultimately, well, that's not really the contact that he wanted to make for me, but at the same time, seems to have got away with that one with perfect, well, results on this occasion at least. 17 points, still going to be very much the gap in between Trump and Saengkham at this stage of the frame. As he now looking to try and play the shot into the right corner. Plenty of topspin there, and just guiding that cue ball to be on the right-hand side of the black there. Now, Trump had to clear the table, but mistakes are still possible for both of them. Well, yeah, true, but I think we've had a chance for Saengkham in the previous frame. He wasn't able to take that one away. And at the same time, it will now be down to a decent opportunity here for Trump to take this one away with an easy red available. And he's got plenty of those to choose from, I have to say. He's got 7 reds as it stands. He's got 25 points of the advantage. And you would have to say, even though the reds are still a little bit congested and quite close to each other, you probably still have to put it down to, if Trump is not able to take this one away, then it will be a massive disappointment once again for him, because I don't think he will put the position wide open there in relation to the chance for a total clearance for Saengkham. But now, still needs to be cautious of the positional play there, as I'm not sure if he was playing for the pink or the black there, but he's nowhere to be seen on the pink, and he's perfectly lined up for the black there, so probably answers the question quite straightforward there. Now, taking the black very cautiously away into the corner, not trying to generate too much pace out there, because it's all about the precision, and it's all about the cue ball control there for Judd, being 33 points clear, and now still getting himself lined up to be positioned for the raids into the left corner here. So looking for the white to be accelerating away and into the shot for the yellow here. So yeah, of course, he's not going to have the chance to play for the black, for the pink, or for the blue, which leaves it down to yellow or brown here, with the green to be out of position as well. But for now, still a decent enough shot there on the yellow. Should put him quite close towards the reds on the left-hand side of the pink. But once again, I mean, whatever you think about Trump, as soon as he gets himself out of that comfort zone on the black or the pink, he just seems like there was a mistake waiting to happen so far in the frame. But of course, he's got that great ability usually when it comes down to being and running himself a little bit wide there, and having a really good pot success percentage to sort of recover those potential positional mistakes. And that's exactly what happened there. Even though I had to use a little bit more of the pocket than he would have liked, still being lined up pretty nicely on the pink. And of course, the next raid should set him up with a frame ball to be available, because now he's 43 points clear. And the next time around, he pots the black away, he should be able to get himself more than 51 points clear. And yeah, to be fair, he will need another red, no matter which colour he's going to take after this particular shot out there. But still, it's a decent escape there from being 2-0 down before the third frame, and now heading to the intermission. As soon as the black disappears, there's not going to be any realistic chance there for Saengkham to get himself back into the action, but still needs to try and put the red away, as he now finds himself 51 points clear, 51 at the table. Trump there with a really good response to himself, and ultimately having to make sure he's not going to be on the back foot for much longer of the match, as he's now going to be ahead by 52 points, looking to try and take the black away in towards the right corner of the table as well. And this, of course, could be very much down to a century break to be available for him, as he now takes another black away. Even though he has started being 16 points down there on the Saengkham, it's still going to be very much down to him to be finishing the frame in style there. Of course, he will need the ball colours, which are not necessarily in the best possible position right now. But after slightly more than an hour of the action, it is Trump that is going to come away with all the momentum to try and take into the fifth frame there. The Punch has seen too many of those mistakes. First, the one on the blue in the third frame, which left the position wide open there and available for Jutrom. And of course, in this particular frame, taking unnecessary risk on the red along the black ball cushion didn't really work out, as Trump is going to be playing the exhibition shot, whether that was down to trying to clear the green away from the cue ball, whatever it was. It's probably going to put an end to any century hopes there, but you never quite know with Trump, as he's now going to be looking to try and pot the yellow, which he has done. And look at that for a shot. I mean, that is absolutely brilliant from Jutrom. Just when you think that man is going to run himself out of position, I'm pretty sure that green goes into the right middle. And look at that for a shot. I mean, that was absolutely brilliant. And just needs to try and drop this one in carefully. Well, I mean, just like it was from the shot that could have actually cost him the frame there, and did cost him the frame on the second visit to the table in frame number 2. But at the end of it all, the century won't be happening, but it was still such a nice shot on the yellow that Trump was able to execute. And it's going to be very nicely to see him ending up with a shot like that. 2-0 down there for Trump. Seemed like he was going to find himself in all sorts of trouble before the intermission, but at the end of it all, it will be Trump to have a 2-all draw there with Nippon Saengkham. And now it's still going to be very much down to Trump to be the favourite, but ultimately when it comes down to a race to 4 frames now, it will be anyone's match for the taking there. As Trump was able to have 2 really good breaks there in frame number 3 and 4, as he now positions himself to be in a very healthy lead advantage there if he's able to win the 5th frame away. And after making a couple of questionable decisions and some big mistakes, he was able to come away, being the better player when it comes down to the 3rd and the 4th frame. But Saengkham still had plenty of a lead to try and hold on to before the end of the first session. He wasn't quite able to do that, and now we're going to have to wait and see who's going to find himself in the lead after the start of the 5th frame. For now, though, it is Nippon Saengkham 2, Jutrom 2, as we see ourselves to be heading for the intermission, and still all to play for when we get back to the action in between Nippon Saengkham and Jutrom for a potential chance to play either Jackson Page or Ronnie O'Sullivan in the second round of the main draw. Stay tuned in, we'll be back in 15 minutes time.
just to find the loudest tears. We set down by the fire, knowing we could aim higher, but we didn't know that yet. So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club. I remember the ocean moon, memories die out too hard. But we were traveling the mountains, just to find the loudest tears. We sat down by the fire, knowing we could aim higher, but we didn't know that yet. So if you want something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club. I'm in a tropic club.
Suck me in the smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Filling the lungs inside you, and the blackened eyes make my way into your mind, just to know what you knew. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with a nasty bite. I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control. Take me in the smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Sink to your heart to find you. Open up your eyes till you're blinded by the lies, so you can see what you do. Restless every time we
Right then, everybody, let's get back into the action. It is now the intermission that is now over, and Trump against Saengkham is about to resume here. Once again, first two frames were very comfortably won by Nippon out there, but Trump has managed to come back and respond really well in frames number 3 and 4, and we have seen a couple of, I would say, weird mistakes from both players, but ultimately I think Saengkham was actually, immune to those in the first two frames, and he was a lot more consistent than what we've seen of him in the frame number 3 and 4. As for now, it's a really good break off there from Trump, and once again forces Saengkham to try and go the long way around. This time, though, it doesn't work out at all, and Trump is going to have a chance of playing the red into the left corner, trying to get that cue ball past the reds and past his combination to get himself lined up for the black. Plenty of power needed. He needed to hold the cue ball slightly better, but he's all right. I thought he didn't absorb any type of pace away from the white, but he has managed to get, close enough to the black so that the angle is going to be manageable. And all of a sudden, it's been very little play there since that break-off shot of Trump has disappeared into the distance, and all of a sudden now the points and the gap that Saengkham was getting himself into after the opening two frames is about to disappear into the distance again, because every single time Trump was able to get himself a sequence of at least 3 balls that he was able to pop there at the starting point of a frame, he always seemed to have gone on and won that match from there, won the frame from there. So let's see, he's got a fantastic opportunity, the best that we've seen so far today of any of the two players, to try and win the frame in the first visit to the table. And once again, lovely little control of the cue ball on the previous time of asking, getting that straight angle on the black to be developed quite nicely there for the white to go away and into the line for the reds, which is going to drop him nicely for the next black as well. And could potentially, if he wants to, try and send the cue ball into the reds here. Always going to have that red on the right hand side. That's exactly what he's done. Didn't really get... he got 1 red away, which I suppose is a nice thing, but surely he didn't compromise himself on that. Another red. That is going to be so unlucky if he has. There was a little bit of a hand gesture from there, but, well, I can't blame him. I suggested to be doing that as well. Surely, I thought that can't go wrong, but, well, somehow it did. And now 24 points of a lead is not really going to be the lead that Trump would have been hoping for. But still, it's going to be better than nothing for him. And as I say, I think that was a completely reasonable shot that he was playing. And now he's just going to have to try and carefully take that cue ball towards the black ball cushion, drop it with no extra pace at all. And which match we're doing in second session? It is going to be Ronnie O'Sullivan against Jackson Page. The winner of which will play either Saengkham or Trump, which is going to be very interesting to be watching in the second round as well. We've got some good matchups, We've got Wakelin and Zhao still looking to try and play their matches to try and get through to the second round against each other. We've got Gilbert against, what's his name, Weezer. We've got Selby and Wilson, which still haven't started their matches, but they could beat in the second round too. And then, of course, we've got Trump against O'Sullivan, still very much on the line there, if both of them are able to get past Saengkham and Page, respectively. For now, though, Trump just looking to try and get himself exactly where he left off before that unfortunate cannon into those reds. Has sent him out of a point-scoring opportunity, but unable to find a long-range shot into the right corner for now. Saengkham probably going to have to respond with a similar type of a shot of his own, but instead of playing an attacking shot, was that an attacking shot? I don't think it was, because he was a little bit too far away from the pocket, but let's see if now Trump is going to use the same red away. He potentially could try and make a cross double with it, send the red back into the bunch there, or alternatively, you can always... Oh, that's way too much speed there for me. And the cue ball is going to be closer to the blue ball line than it is going to be towards the bulk area. And, well, probably in between right now. But still way lower than the white should have been. And ultimately, what has Saengkham got available into the left corner? He's got 3 reds. One of them might be able to get past the other 2. But, well, let's see if that is the case. Maybe the centre one, and it is going to be the centre one. It's not an easy shot in relation to the queuing. You would expect him to get this into the pocket, and he has done. Now, how about the exit on towards the colours here? It's not great, but it's not terrible. You know, it's not great because I can't really see the way that he's going to get himself towards those reds. You know, from the yellow, maybe from the brown, which he's going to be playing for right now. The green is a better angle, but of course this makes a lot more difficult to actually pot the green itself. So then thrashes the brown home. And I tell you what, if there was any doubts whether he was going to be able to get that cue ball down the table or not, don't think there's going to be any now. But once again, Trump unable to make the most out of it. And, well, now it's down to the pond to try and make him pay for that. I do wonder, though, although it is early days, if he will need that raid on the left side cushion, because if he doesn't, then he puts him in a very healthy position there to try and win the frame. If he doesn't need that raid, but of course we've seen him, you know, develop a similar type of a raid in his second frame there. Didn't really cost him at that point dearly. But once again, I mean, the awkward thing about this break so far is that he's going to be going on without the blue. He clearly thinks he can try and bring the pink into the open play now, which... not the easiest shot, not in relation to the passing angle. I think he's going to be able to get the pink in, but I think from the point of, you know, trying to get himself lined up for the next red, is going to be quite tricky. And also, he's taking the power away from that shot, which could have made the passing angle a bit more difficult for him. But in the end, he's able now to get the pink away from all the struggles of those reds into a little bit of free air. And now he will be down to a chance here for the red to be taken into the corner. I mean, once again, this is going to be a bit of a hidden hope here because I can't see the way that he avoids the contact on the reds. Pretty much full ball there, which, I mean, he might have to play this shot so he does actually get the contact full ball and either forces that red away. But, I mean, he could collide into the black. I think he has to play this one with backspin and play for the pink. And, well, he's trying to play for the backspin, but he's just trying to carefully make his way around the reds there completely without touching them, which was a great shot there. Didn't think that was on. And now he's got himself a great chance of trying to pot the pink or the black there. So let's see. You know, he's still got 3 reds to be right next to each other when he comes down to thinking about winning the frame in the current visit to the table. But I think he is going to be quite tight when he comes down to points. So he's now going to find himself in a position where he's 5 points behind and 99 at the table. So if you put it down to 27-35, I should say, he's not going to need, then he's got 64 points to try and get himself through, which, I mean, he's still going to be marginally, but he should be all right with this one. And, yeah, just trying to go for the red in towards the right corner right now and get himself around the pink and into the main part of the area here where all the action is going to be going on. But for now, you probably have to say he's going to have to worry about the black a little bit more here because it's the easier colour for you to get on the red from rather than trying to play a shot onto the red every single time when you have to be positioned perfectly for the pink. And ideally, at that stage, you only have 2 pockets for the pink to be taken onto. So I think there's not going to be any surprise that Saengkham has tried to keep himself on the black there for now and just make sure that he's got a really good chance of potting all the easy reds first, and then when he gets to the stage of seeing those 3 reds, having to try and do something with them, then I think we can probably get back to that conversation a little bit later on. But as we've seen with Trump in the previous couple of frames, you know, he's very much trying to follow that scheme for him as well, where he goes for all the difficult reds later on in the frame, and he just tries to make it as easy as he possibly can for himself at the opening stage of it. But still feel like with Napon, he's going to have to be very cautious when he comes down to the remaining 6 reds before he goes on to the one next to the left side cushion, which think we established that he's probably not going to need at this stage of the frame. And yeah, the reason why I say he's going to be careful is that because they're all very close to each other, which means he's going to have to play those shots really, really well. I'm not sure he's starting quite well here, because I think he's slightly top side of the ping there. I mean, lower side, I should say, because, I mean, he is even looking at potentially using the right side cushion there, but, I mean, surely that's going to be for a shot in towards the left middle, which is far from an ideal one, unless he feels like he's got a plant available, which would make his life a little bit easier. So the right side cushion it is, and he got a bounce, so let's see if it is going to be left middle or the plant in towards the left corner. For now, it is going to be 18 points as the difference in between the players, and yeah, of course, he's always got the chance of, you know, playing for the ball colours if he wants to, if that is going to be the plant that he's going to be aiming for, but it's not really going to boost his chances of trying to do something nice in relation to the remaining 3 reds. But for now, he's going to miss the plants. That one was always going to be looking a little bit wide there, and 18 points of a lead is not going to be enough there for him to try and challenge Juttrump, as it's now going to be just 42 points of a break. And at the end of it all, he will be back down to Chomp, finding himself 18 points behind, needing all of those reds here, of course, but, you know, he could find himself in a position where if he gets the opening couple of reds in, then Saengkham potentially could also need every single one of those reds, which would be a problem for him as well, and put him pretty much in the level playing field, as Trump is able to take a really nice shot away, has to stretch for it. Don't think he needed an extension on it, which boosted his chances slightly. Now then, a shot on the brown, and this is where I don't really understand what Trump was trying to achieve there. I mean, unless he was trying to play further away from the pink and open up the red into the right corner, but, well, he's nowhere near it, to me. I mean, he's still looking at it for whatever reason, but I think he's not really going to be able to get through to that red, is he? I mean, I'll be very surprised if he can. Let's have a look then. And, well, he was. My apologies to that one, but I don't think I have to apologize for a long time, because once again, even if it was the red that was available there for Trump, he still finds himself completely out of control and out of position there once again on the next shot of asking, and putting the black out of position, being nowhere near to be having a healthy angle on the pink, and all of a sudden he's now going to have to try and take this one the long way around if he wants to try and stay on the break. But I think alternatively he's going to have to go for, you know, forcing one of the colours that probably both of them will either need or not need at all. And with that one being the blue, and yeah, alternatively he's just trying to actually develop the blue into a nicer position there, realising that he's probably the player that is more likely to need the blue itself. But, you know, 2 frames in, and Saengkham leads by 12 points there, 42 leads 30. 4 reds at the table, 2 of them in a nice position, 2 of them in less so. Black and the blue out of position, but if the blue is still very much in a potable condition, yellow is about to join that party as well, of the colours of being out of position there, as Saengkham is going to class the cue ball into that one. And at the end of it, he will be down to a shot on the red that he can try and take here. Plenty of, well, backspin needed there for the cue ball to be brought towards the ball cushion, and now he needs this one to slow down before he goes beyond the point of no return there behind the green. And now there is going to be a chance of potentially potting the red there, which Trump has left over the corner here, of course. So then let's see if that's going to be the case. Can Saengkham try and serve around this one, or is he going to be playing for a shot onto the cushion, which is a risky one, but it may be the only chance that he has got ahead of him to try and stay within this frame. Yeah, of course, he can't even see the cushion there, which makes it a problem. So he needs to try and swerve around it onto the cushion. I think that's going to hit the red, but I don't think he'll pot it, and he didn't. Well, I mean, I suppose it's not the worst case scenario there, because of the situation at the table, he was always going to, well, either pot it or get that red away from the table. And, you know, he got it into a relatively safe area. I think Trump can go for it into the yellow pocket, but I think the fact that the cue ball is going to be onto the right side cushion makes it twice, if not more times, more difficult for him. And, well, I think for Trump, there is going to be, I think, of a discussion there whether he wants to try and just keep that cue ball behind the ball colours anyway. So even if he pots it, he just puts him into a nicer position to try and get onto those remaining 3 reds. Or, of course, if he wants to try and be very much the man in charge of the position, as soon as he pots the red, if he does fancy his chances of trying to make this one to go on target, but in the end he decides to play the safer option. And I think, once again, you're going to have to remember that all the players from the top 16, especially, of course, the players outside of the top 16, but, you know, when it comes down to realistically the chances of them winning the tournament, they're going to be looking forward to trying to get this China Open on the board there, because they know that it will be all down to no ranking points that you lose, and it's going to be all down to whatever you win, that's exactly how much is going to be added to your tally of the ranking points. So you could easily see someone like Naporn Saengkham, if he is able to get quite far, which is going to be, you know, certainly a long shot for him, but if he is able to do that, he could easily find himself in the top 32 by the end of the China Open. For now, he nearly found himself, and the cue ball to be precise, into the green pocket, as now there is going to be a red available for Jutrom to be taking on. And, well, after a difficult shot there that Naporn has been left with on the previous occasion, it is now going to be all the way down for Trump to try and, well, utilise this long-range shot there for him. Whether he's going to be able to achieve that or not remains to be seen, but ultimately he's going to try and make it. And, well, he certainly did. He didn't really make that one into the pocket, though. And the question is, has he left that red straight into the green pocket there? Because he's very far away from the pocket, but alternatively, it is very close towards the cue ball. So then Saengkham still finds himself in a position where, unless he's able to take every single one of those reds with the black, which is not going to be realistic at this stage, he still will need all 4 of those reds, which puts him, you know, probably in exactly the same position as Trump is going to find himself with. So then let's see. Can he try and pot the red here? I don't think he's going to be playing for the black, though, which makes his shot a little bit, you know, redundant for him. But let's see. I mean, yeah, don't really understand what was the point in taking that shot on there. Just unnecessary risk for not necessarily any reward there that he was going to get, because he was always playing that shot to have cover on the red. Well, now, I mean, he can try and get the cue ball behind the black there. Of course he can, but, you know, the bottom line is it's going to be very difficult to keep it away from both parts of the table, and he hasn't done that. So, a bit of a nothing shot there from Saengkham, and of course now it guarantees him that he will need that red on the left side cushion to be taking on as well, and therefore he probably puts him on the back foot a little bit more, rather than giving him any sort of an advantage out there. So let's have a look on what can we see out here. Is he going to be the cue ball to be played from the cushion still? Well, that's what Trump has tried, and he hasn't played that shot badly, I have to say. He has left a long red, but, you know, he was always going to leave that long red away, and clearly he was happy with that being the case. It's not the easiest one. It's just below the baulk line, and it's just in the middle of the left side cushion and the yellow spot there. So, you know, the cue ball is still going to be going around the bow collars. So Saengkham can try and make this one in, but he needs to make sure he gets close, I would say. Otherwise, the red can go anywhere, which is exactly what happened. And yeah, he got a little bit fortunate at the end, because the red has gone everywhere. He's gone into the black, then he's gone into towards the right corner, but he's got cover on the pink to be getting in the way there of the white. Although I still think, even if the pink wasn't there, Trump would have been very ambitious to be going for a red like this. For now, he's just going to try and find a decent enough safety, which, I mean, I say decent, it's not really a great one that he's played. Once again, the cue ball is not too close towards the ball cushion. The reds are still going to be, a couple of them at least, they're going to be in open play there. So there is a chance here for Naporn to try and take the red away towards the right corner, and therefore make a very nice shot there for him indeed. Plenty of topspin needed. Now, can he try and make this one in? It was going to be close, but he was always looking for that front jaw, and he got a little bit too much of that one for the red to be dropping in. So the drama will continue, and well, I think Trump is going to have to find out the answer, of course. But I think when it comes down to short-term gain here, he wants to try and probably bring another red into the open play. Although he felt like there was a gap for the cue ball to be played in behind the bow colours. He needs this shot to work out perfectly well, though, because if he doesn't, He's given the initiative away. Now, let's see, as the camera is about to get the view of the overall table. I think it's a grey shot there. I thought the green might be a little bit too far away from the cue ball, but certainly doing the work there that Trump would have intended it to do. Now then, it's a very delicate shot there, and, well, I mean, it was very much too delicate there from Saengkham. And now, certainly a chance here for Watchalong. The question is it going to be a good enough chance for him to win the frame? Unlikely, I would say, because 3 reds, all 3 of them, very difficult position. Even the opening red, despite being the easiest of the 3, is far from being an easy shot with the blue out of position. You know, it's a lovely little red that he's taken. Let's see what colour is he playing for. I think it's the green or nothing. And yeah, he's actually got a lovely little angle to try and drop the cue ball in behind the red on the right side cushion. And of course, if he puts that one away, all of a sudden, he's only got one issue to sort out. Too much pace. Don't know why he played a shot like that. Completely unnecessary there from Trump. Whether he didn't have the... Well, you can always create the angle. I mean, he used so much backspin there. All he had to do was to play that shot with less power. I don't know why he was trying to make change to that red, but, you know, I suppose he got in behind him. He was trying to get in behind the green once again, but the slimmest of touches there on the green itself. He's now going to be in the cue ball. His position, strange indeed. Well, interesting, but not really the shot that you would expect Watchalong to go for, especially him to be called the IQ man by me, but maybe he felt like there was something that I didn't really notice at the time, but all of a sudden, now he's the one that finds himself in a difficult snooker. But, I mean, once again, it doesn't really matter that he potted that red, and it doesn't matter to him or Nippon out there, because it's still going to be a battle for those 2 reds, neither one of which we've got in a relatively nice position out there. So, yeah, Trump is still looking at a potential chance of going for the red. Probably from the left side cushion would have been the preferable way of doing it, but he might actually be able to squeeze the cue ball past the green and brown. And, well, let's see, which one was he playing for, actually, because he nearly caught the first one. He nearly caught the second one twice, and somehow, I think he's gone exactly around as he touched the black there, because he could still be quite an important factor there. But well, they haven't given Saengkham any foul points, which certainly should have been, so it's 4 points to be given away. I think too, so much spin for this result, quite disappointing. Reds are in a very bad position for both of them. Well, not necessarily for both of them now, because Saengkham has got a first red in after a very unlucky shot from Trump there. I mean, you can criticise them all you want, but the bottom line is he had 2 reds, he nearly hit them 3 times in a single shot there, and he's somehow managed to put the cue ball in 1% of that particular shot there, where the red was actually going to be possible from. And let's see, I mean, Saengkham clearly fancies his chances for a double. You know, he's got 21 points of a lead, so if he goes for the reds and then the pink or the black, he can still win the frame without needing the yellow. Whether he'll get the black, the double or not. It's even like the red is a little bit too close to the side cushion though, so let's see the way this is going to go. And he's going to go perfectly into the pocket, but, well, I think at the table, there are very few spots there that would have been more difficult for Saengkham there than the one that he's found himself here. It's a brilliant double, and it's a really well-played shot there, but he's nowhere near to be seen on the black, and this is where you have to make a decision. I think he'll go for it. 22 points is the lead. He's having a good look at the scoreboard. How's your maths, Nippon? I think it's pretty straightforward for you. You pot the black, you're 29 clear. You should be on the yellow as well, because the angle on the black is perfect for you to be on the yellow, but it's just not necessarily perfect to be potting the black here. Well, the question is, does he want to risk it for this shot? Because I think he will pot it, but just because I think so doesn't mean that that's going to be the reality. I mean, what you can always do is just try and put the black safe into a very awkward position there, and then still make it very much down to the yellow and green, which you will need. So I just don't think... Listen, the percentage and the computer should say that he's going to have to play a safety here, but, you know, whether he will do that or not, let's see. He went for it, he potted it, and let's see how well is he going to be positioned on the yellow. Well, he's not going to be positioned well on the yellow at all. I think he's snookered himself. And, yeah, he might actually be able to see and a little small part of the yellow there. But it's a really good shot there on the black. You know, I don't think you can complain about the pockets. He was straight into the heart of it, and he was straight into the heart of the yellow as well. But there is a but out there, and that but being, as Trump would have hoping to see that yellow. Let's have a look then. There's a conversation to be had in between Trump and the referee. This is really interesting to see. Don't know what that's all about. I mean, yeah. I only picked up the second part of the conversation there, but Trump's saying that, you know, the bounce and the wobble was a little bit weird there, and the referee's saying there was no wobble, and he just managed to get around it. So, well, whatever it was there for Judd, he clearly wasn't happy with something. He might be very, very happy with the shot that he's played, though. Look at that. What a brilliant shot that is. I'll tell you what, well, I mean, even though it's a little bit unfortunate there with how close the yellow is going to be in relation to the bulk cushion, I think that probably makes it an easy shot there for Saengkham, but take nothing away from Chomp. That was brilliant. It's just that, had he been a little bit, like a centimetre closer towards the pink, it would have been a lot more difficult, but on this time of asking, I think it's still going to be very much an easy shot there for Saengkham as he clattered straight into the heart of the yellow. And it's now going to be down to, upon his very fair play like that, well, yeah, I think, you know, we'll see on the, I don't think we've seen any of those, you know, close moments. So let's see. But yeah, I think majority of the players on the World Snooker Tour are all going to be very much down to, you know, respecting the fair play. As now, once again, it's a nice line there for Judd, but I think this time around, he might be lacking a little bit of pace. And for him to be lacking pace, of course, would leave him down to a shot on the yellow, not to be taken out there, and therefore, a potential opportunity not to be taken in towards the right corner. And, you know, Saengkham can always just kill the frame off there by potting the yellow and put himself in that position where he's going to be able to get himself ahead by 3 frames to 2. And even though he's missed the yellow, the luck is certainly, seemingly, going to be on the side of Saengkham there. And he's going to get the snooker lines up on Trump, but I think Trump can try and use this one as an advantage for himself, actually. And to try and put a little bit of distance in between the white and the yellow. Still only one snooker in this one, so still plenty of action for you to potentially be seeing out here, especially for the safety battle to be said. But I think it will be down to... I'm a little bit surprised that Trump is so focused on the yellow here. I mean, I understand having that, you know, ability to do something right here, right now, but surely he's going to have to be looking at the green and the brown position and realizing that if he does spot the yellow, and he does get the cue ball to be in exactly the position it is for Napon right now, I mean, he could get a mighty snooker lined up for him. So let's see what's going to happen. And now then, it's once again, this time around, it's a completely fair shot there from Napon. And it's a really good one as well. This time around, I think it's Trump that he's going to have to use plenty of right-hand side spin to try and bounce that yellow away onto the right part of the table. So once again, it's a good hit there by Judd, but I think when it comes down to potentially try and get the snooker back there, lacking a little bit of power, but you never want to inject too much about it, otherwise you may lose control of these type of shots. In the meantime, Napon can still go for the yellow to be taken here, in towards the right corner. Let's see if he's got enough power on that one, and the answer is he doesn't. Of course, he can't afford to be leaving the yellow away, but I think it's not going to be something that he's done right now. He might have actually got the snooker once again there on Trump. Of course, that being by accident, but Trump seemingly able to get through to the yellow, whether it's going to be from the cushion or through a direct contact. And trying to get the pink and the blue into the play there. And it's not a bad shot there, you know, because even though I think Napon can see the yellow, it's certainly going to limit the ability of him to try and play a decent safety shot now. And he may just try and put this one closer towards the left corner. Now, he sort of did an attempt of a cross double there. Just forced that yellow to be heading into the left side cushion. But lovely little control on the cue ball, you have to say. And now then, playing a shot on the yellow. Try and take that one in towards the black there. And then all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself with, Well, I mean, that's a weird shot there that Trump has played. Whether he was trying to minimize the angle, but he seemed to hit that one straight in the face there. Double kiss, and yeah, all the initiative is now going to have to go over to Saengkham here. I think he's got the chance of just making that yellow to go past the black there. His frame time is about to reach half an hour, which is going to be quite lengthy for this match. You know, we've seen the first four last just over an hour, and all of a sudden, you know, one of those frames is very likely to be taking pretty much half as long there. So then, can he try and make that yellow to miss the black there? Well, he's had something else in his mind, and whatever it was a really nice shot that he's played, and yeah, putting that yellow very much on towards the black ball cushion, getting the green, brown, and blue all to be covering the yellow here from Trump, and I think Judd might have to try and swerve this one on towards the cushion. So once again, I think he is going to be getting a little bit impatient, but he's played a brilliant shot there of a recovery to try and put the yellow safe as well. And now then, 29 points of a difference. He's going to be very much staying there with both of the players. As we see, Trump still to be in that position where he's not necessarily going to find himself in a position now where he's in control of the frame, but he's certainly not out of it just yet. And if he goes for a shot on the cross double here in the pawn, of course he needs to be careful of leaving out the yellow to be right over the middle. Could give a chance away to Trump in relation to potting the yellow and finally getting the snooker in behind the green or the brown. So then just having a look to see what's going to be happening with the yellow here though, and doesn't seem like it's going to be anything positive there for Trump, as the double is not really going to work out there for Saengkham, and Trump is just going to try and play this one straight in the face. And I mean, I think so. If he's got the angle for that, it's going to be another matter. And he sort of developed the green a little bit, which wasn't part of his plans. And yeah, at the end of it all, he will be just down to a shot on the yellow here to be taken here from Saengkham, and he's still got the line to try and take this one away there on the yellow, but whether he's going to be able to try and put the cue ball somewhere in the zone or behind the black there remains to be seen. I think it's probably unlikely to happen right now, but I mean, the bottom line is he's not the one looking for snookers. He just has to make sure he puts the cue ball into a safe spot there, and he's certainly done that now really, really well. Even if Trump is able to see past the green and the brown, it was still a very good effort there from the Saengkham, and well, Trump clearly got no intention of trying to get rid of the yellow for now, but he's clearly not getting the pace or the angle enough there to get the cue ball in behind the black and the pink. There would have been a very interesting snooker to see Saengkham to try and get himself out of, if the cue ball would have been able to travel 5 centimeters wider to the right and ultimately cover the left side cushion as well. But at the end, it's just going to be a straightforward shot there, full in the face, and the pawn is going to just try and, well, potentially didn't really want to put the yellow over the pocket there, but you know, as I say, the green and the brown are going to be slightly further away from each other now. And I think Trump does need a little bit of a reset here. So whether he's going to be able to pot the yellow and get that cue ball right in that zone of the green and the brown, well, he certainly had a good effort of that. But now he needs a very good shot. Yeah, he's played a brilliant shot there on the yellow to try and get so close towards the green. So now then, I think the best chance for him to try and win the frame is about to come here. And it's a really good shot if the green is going to stay on the left-hand side of the table, which he won't, which makes it a really bad shot for me. I think if Saengkham is able to get through to the middle, that's a horrible effort there. But if he's not, well, I mean, he's having a good look at it. I think he might have actually got away with that one, Trump. And it's not the most difficult snooker of all time, but it's not the easiest one. And Saengkham just about brushes the edge of the green there. So, in the end, it wasn't as bad of an effort as I thought it was, but he still wasn't good enough there because even though two things he's done well, he got the snooker and he got the green to be far away from the any sort of a cushion, but you felt like there was certainly a chance to try and get cover onto the right-hand side of the table as well. Sort of forced him to play the shot onto the bowl cushion, and yeah, of course, Trump wasn't able to achieved that on the previous occasion. Now then, just a careful safety shot there. I don't think there was a realistic attempt of trying to put the green in behind the pink out there. But for now, the pawn is now going to be looking at this and thinking, well, I've managed to survive the scariest part of the frame for me, so I may as well just try and focus on potting the pink here, or potting the green I should say. Doesn't want to pot the pink, because then of course it's going to be another scary part of the frame for him, but he was very close there to potting the green, and the end of it, he might have actually got the snooker again on Jutrom, which is not going to please the world number one. But at the end of it, he's had plenty of opportunities to try and get the snooker. So far, he hasn't done that. And in the attempts when he has, Saengkham was able to get away with a really good shot that he's played. So then once again, around the angles there for the green to travel. The cue ball is going to be positioning nicely onto the ball cushion. But once again, no snooker danger, but also a danger of a long shot available here. Over to Saengkham, and a chance here for him to finally put the frame to bed. See if he's going to be able to do it on this occasion. And the answer is he wasn't even trying to. So double kiss. You know, he's going to have the pink in the way still, which I don't think will boost the morale of, you know, a snooker being laid there from Chum. But at least he put himself right in the mix there of the green and the cue ball to be so close to each other. Trying to get the black into the plane between the cue ball and the green didn't really work. And Saengkham can clearly see the green, but also think he's going to be the man looking for a snooker here, because he doesn't have to worry about leaving the green on. And I thought he was going to send the cue ball to the top side of the table, but instead he's played a really nice shot here. And yeah, I think we might just see Trump to boil over there and hidden hope, maybe. No, still trying to control this one, but I think that might be the last that we've seen of Trump. Don't think there's going to be any reason for him to come back there, as he's the one to concede 4 foul points. I mean, he's still 2 snookers there, but if he didn't get a snooker on the green and the brown, I don't think there's going to be any reason for him to try and carry on here, though. So 25 at the table, and well, especially with the black now to be out of position. Well, Trump thinks he can carry on, so clearly not giving this one up just yet, but as I say, 31 behind, 25 at the table. He needs 2 snookers, and the black is now out of position as well. So yeah, I think he just tried to make it work, but clearly, I mean, I'm actually quite impressed there with how well he's been able to control his temper there. Clearly not too frustrated with everything that's happened, and still very much controlling himself to be in that, or at least trying to be in a positive mood there. Not too many positive things about it though, as he now trails upon Saengkham by 3 frames to 2, and Saengkham is able to restore that single frame advantage for the first time since a 2-1 lead that he had, and now still looking to try and make it quite far there in the rankings when it comes down to, you know, the difference in between the world number 1 and the world number 45 is going to be huge there, because when it comes down to the ranking points of the last 2 seasons, Jutrom has managed to score 10 times more of ranking points than the Saengkham has, and that's the difference in between being outside of the top 32 and being the leader of the world ranking. So Trump still has got the initiative, and he's still got himself clearly to be in that position of being the favourite here, but whether he's going to stay in that position for long, we're going to have to wait and see. For now, Anthony McGill, meanwhile, has found himself in a very nice position against Sal Godon there. 3 frames each, and McGill with the 44 points of a lead as well, as he now he's looking to try and get himself through towards a nice position there. The audience likes and wants competitive games so they can analyse the players' bets. That's what the audience wants. Well, let's see. Now Trump has to wake up. Yeah, he needs to perform now. I think we've passed that stage where we can leave it till later. I think it's now or never, because if he puts himself 4-2, I think it's for the first time I'm going to admit that he does find himself to be in that position where, you know, Saengkham becomes a favourite, which is not what Trump wants to see. And yeah, we haven't really seen enough of scoring there from Trump. Some of it down to mistakes, some of it down to being unlucky, but I think you have to put it down to, remember, he's had such a great chance at the start of that 5th frame. And yes, I did say it was down to my advice as well of trying to play that cue ball into the bunch of reds, but, you know, the bottom line was he ran himself completely out of position while still having plenty more reds available, and it's sort of gone completely downhill from him from that point of view onwards, but I still think he's got more than enough opportunities to try and recover. Whether he will do that or not remains to be seen. I still think he's got a great chance, and therefore I think he's got all the ability in himself to try and keep him in that rhythm of just playing some great stuff, and then, you know, you're going to be able to try and get quite far away when it comes down to what you should be expecting from a performance like this. But at the end of it all, it's a break-off shot there from Saengkham, and now it will be down to Chomp to be very careful there every single time he wants to try and go for a long raid. And so for strange reason, cannot copy and paste. Yes, so basically saying the audience likes and wants a competitive game so they can analyse the players' bets. That's what the audience wants. But I'll tell you what Chomp would want. Sorry, giving him a point for nothing. Although, I may have actually predicted the future. He's about to go for the raid. And once again, a double kiss there as he misses out on potting that raid into the left corner. And, well, straight away looking to see if he's left a chance away for an opponent to be taking a raid into the green pocket or into the right middle. Neither one is going to be easy. And I don't think he can go for the raids into the green pocket there. Way too much of a risk of leaving those raids into the left part of the table there. But, yeah, I mean, Chomp just seemingly trying to get his game started, but unable to do so for now. Saengkham needs to try and avoid the contact on the green, and he's done that. I think he didn't judge the pace of the cue ball too well, but it shouldn't be costly for him at this stage, because it's now going to be down to a shot on the red taken into the right corner, and therefore, if you put yourself in that position of, you know, trying to be lined up with a shot on the cue ball, once again having to be very careful not putting too many of those reds over the pocket. Well, he's done that in relation to his put a red over the corner pocket, but I think, especially with it being a single red for him, I think he's managed to get the cover on the green as well. So then down to Napon to have the chance here to play the shot into the red and into the left corner. Whether he's going to be able to do that or not remains to be seen, but I think he certainly needs to try and get rid of that red, so he can't see it. Then he's going to have to play a shot from the side cushion, which is not the easiest thing to do, and I think he completely fluffed the pace. Yeah, you can see that a mile away that the cue was not going to be anywhere near the red. So then 4 points to be given away. I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've seen a foul shot to be made by Saengkham out there. We've seen a couple of those from Chomp's point of view as well. So then let's see. I think the Saengkham would love the cue ball to stay where it is right now, because you know, he would be able to pot the red from that perspective, and of course the referee is going to adjust the cue ball to be seeing a lot less of that red. So then let's see what's going to happen. I think both players are going to be happy with it. So then back to Napon he goes there with the turn, being 4 points down, and yeah, I think the pace is going to be good enough here. Although it's still going to be touch and go. And yeah, that's a good shot there. Well played. Because he needed to make sure that he also got cover on the reds close to the right corner there. So, you know, he needed to judge the pace really, really well, which he has done. So now then, a chance for the reds to be taken away and onto the black ball cushion here. Can he try and make it all the way there, actually? Well, that's a risky shot there from Chomp. Way too risky for me. But to be fair, he played that one quite well in relation to... He didn't get the cue ball to be staying on the black ball cushion there. So he only had the same red that he was playing for to be under a threat of leaving it over to Saengkham there. I'm not sure if he has done that. So let's see if the red is going to be cuttable into the right corner. It was. Well, once again, it's down to Chom to make that judgment call. And I wouldn't really criticise him for it. But I think when it comes back down to it, if you keep on losing frames and you keep on doing what you have been doing beforehand, it's not really going to get you anywhere. And that's exactly what happened there with Chomp. And, well, it's not an easy chance at all, but it's a chance. And as we've seen beforehand, Saengkham does usually take those seriously. Although just as I say that, he may have run himself out of position straight away. As he takes the brown away in towards the green pocket, and straight away a little shake of the head there. Whether he can see any sort of plan there or something, but no, he can't. So that was a mistake which Trump is not going to pay for anything out there, because he's going to be 1 point behind. And, well, nearly found himself 3 points ahead there with a foul shot to be made again. But the slightest, and when I say the slightest, literally barely visible contact there in between the cue ball and the red. And now will be all down to Trump to get back to the table and play a shot of probably trying to get rid of the same red there, and didn't want to catch anywhere near the jaw of the middle pocket. I think he got away with that one massively. I mean, Trump is just finding himself all over the place there on all sorts of levels. And I think he's very, very lucky there not to give that red away into the right corner, because the only reason why he hasn't done that is that he's clattered himself into the blue. And that was certainly the colour that was preventing Saengkham from seeing enough of that red to try and cut it into the corner, which I can guarantee you would have gone for that red if you could see more of it. So, yeah, Trump desperately needs to try and turn his momentum around. And for now, he can't string 2 safety shots together, let alone, you know, a good enough break there, which will put him ahead in the frame by more than enough points for him to win the frame. Now then, once again, having a look at the red, take it into the left corner. Saengkham can afford to go for those type of shots here, because if he misses them, the position is still very much, you know, closed up there, which is going to be, I think, a bit more of a problem for Trump than it is going to be for him. I think when it comes down to chance creation and being able to utilize his opportunities, I think Saengkham has been by far the better of the two of them. So then Trump still looking for that same red, probably to be taken here towards the main part of the table. And very careful one. Well, at least he was aiming for a very careful shot there. And I don't think he's managed to make that work for him at all. Although, the fact that he's put the cue ball perfectly onto the ball cushion and perfectly in towards the green pocket as well. I mean, he probably won't keep the red away from the pocket there, but he may certainly make this one a lot more difficult there for Saengkham to try and control the pace of the white to get it past the black there. It's did last season, and it's a brilliant shot there for the red. Let's see if he's going to get anything on the colours. Well, if yellow is going to be anything, I mean, he is still just about on the blue into the right corner. It's a great shot there from the pond, because he's done about as much as he could have, getting straight into the heart of the pocket. Well, it's all down to whether he's got the pink available and whether he can try and take the blue on into the right corner. If he's got the pink available, that's very sweet for him, and you just make his life twice as easy for him to try and win the frame here. Let's see though. Yeah, he certainly goes into the corner, but let's see where the cue ball is going to be. And if the no man's land was a word, then that's exactly where, you know, Saengkham has found himself there with the cue ball. Unlucky, you have to say. You play that shot with plenty of topspin, trying to send the cue ball right into the mix of the reds. But I actually think he's found himself in, well, I mean, sometimes you have to learn from your mistakes. Saengkham clearly thinks better of it. He's taken a red like this previously, and he's cost him dearly. He's done exactly the same thing. Why on earth would you step onto the mousetrap, remember what it looks like, and then the next day you wake up, you look at the mousetrap, you see it, and you're still like, oh, you know what? It's a really nice idea for me to step onto that one again. Horrible IQ there from Saengkham, and, well, I mean, Trumpy's going to be very, very lucky there. I don't know what to say. Why would you take... This red was more difficult than the one that he missed in the previous frame, and yet he goes for it. He gets closer, but, I mean, he still leaves that one over the pocket, and all of a sudden, instead of being 7 points clear and try and play a safety shot, which clearly has been the strongest part of his game, and the strongest advantage that he had over Trump. Trump looks like he's aged 10 years. I think he has looked like he's aged a little bit, but certainly not 10 years. I don't think he looks just about as young as he was in 2014, but that makes sense. And I still think he's been, you know, that he's aged a little bit since 2020, 2021, but tell me who hasn't. I mean, you want to look at Anthony McGill, Karen Wilson. Oh, that's a horrible mistake. What on earth is going on there? I mean, if mistake from Saengkham was dreadful, I don't even know how to describe that mistake from Trump there. What's happened there? I mean, clearly he felt like there was a gap of the reds to go past the black there. Well, the black had other plans, and now it's 12 points each, but all of a sudden, you have to say Trump is struggling big time to get himself some sort of momentum out there. Is it last season all ranking tournaments are won by different players? This new season probably following the trend. Yeah, but if you ignore that we've seen Zhao Xington to win 3 ranking tournaments, then yes, but I don't think you should ignore that. Up until a certain point, that was the case, but, you know, certainly not when you count the World Grand Prix, the Players' Championship, and the Tour Championship into account as well. Yeah, I tell you what, Trump does find himself in trouble there. Forget the scoreline. If he's unable to, you know, make the most out of the positions that he had in the previous frame and this one as well, I mean, you could be playing against an amateur and you still might find yourself in a very tough position there, because that's not what it's all about. And it's not how you become the world number one. What Trump needs to do is to get himself in that momentum very, very quickly. But of course now, he needs to hope that Saengkham is going to make another mistake here, which he's capable of making, but I think it's going to be one too many for him to try and win the frame. And I think he's going to be aware of that more than anybody else. But for now, he still finds himself to be lined up in a bit of a straight line here when he comes down to a red taken to the left middle. So then just try and take the cue ball through the shot on the red and get himself past the blue ball line and being top side of the ping there, with the ping taking the blue spot, the blue taking the black ball spot, and the ping spot still yet to be recovered. And then we might see the pink to be getting back to its usual surroundings now. And Saengkham finds himself in his own usual surroundings for this match, leading by 31 to 12 points. And I'll tell you what, I mean, if we see Trump to get knocked out there, I mean, it's going to be such a huge shock there that, I mean, it either leaves it very simply for Zhao Xington, which I still don't think he will, or we are going to see a bit of a shocker in relation to the dark horse of the tournament. Someone like, I don't know, potentially Si Jiahui. You never quite know. I mean, it's going to kick into him once in his career. And someone like, I mean, Barry Hawkins is already out. Williams, Ding already out too. So it could have been a really good chance for either one of those three to try and get themselves a ranking tournament on the board. But, I mean, I'm not sure about Weezer. Once again, I haven't really seen anything that impressive of him in that match against the Yao Bencheng. And we're going to have to wait and see if Saengkham does actually get himself in a 4-2 of an advantage, because I think that will put him to be the favourite here, especially with everything that we've seen Trump to go through. But once again, sometimes he can just peak a little bit too soon there. And after such a dominant win of the Shanghai Masters, it's always difficult to try and find yourself in that first stage once again. And yeah, I feel like if Trump was able to get through this match now, it would be an achievement for him, of course. But ultimately, I think it would put him nicely lined up for the remainder of the tournament as well. Because I just feel like it can't get any worse for him, and he can't get any closer to being, you know, as bad of a snooker as we've seen of him. But I think Napon will have other plans about it. And of course, he doesn't really care about just how well Trump has played in Shanghai. He only cares about, you know, what's going to be in it for him. And for now, a potential clash with Ronnie O'Sullivan could be on the line. If Ronnie is able to get through Jackson Page without, you know, any more issues for him. Because as we've seen, for now, the top seeds are having anything but an easier run towards the second round. And the only decider that we have seen so far was featuring, you know, the top 16 player. And the only time that one of them was actually able to win that particular encounter, despite being 5-2 up there against the world number 79 with Yao Bencheng. But now it's the world number 45, looking to try and put all the pressure there on Trump, making no errors for now. And getting himself lined up once again for the red in towards the left middle. Now then, 44 points is the break. 44 is the advantage as well. And yeah, he's going to be getting ever so closer. If he gets the red, an expensive colour here, and another red, he may be able to get himself past the frame ball line there. But since he's going to be looking for the blue now to be taken, you know, he'll put him 50 points right now. So he will still need a red and a colour after this blue for him to be the winner of the frame, barring snookers. But I think at that stage, there will be no chance there for Trump to be returning back to the action here. But Saengkham has got every chance of returning back to the action for the second round. If he keeps up this momentum, he's been far from ideal performer himself, but he's certainly been a lot better when it comes down to consistency, when it comes down to the average break, and when it comes down to the safety play as well. All those aspects allow him to be, well, 3-2 ahead, and now one shot away from being 4-2 ahead as well. Being able to hang in there. Well, was he a little bit... Well, I still think Mr. Blue, basically, for a frame ball, I think he was a little bit too greedy there, trying to find an extra finite bit of the angle on the blue to get that cue ball into those two reds. But at the same time, the black is out of position, and Trump needs a break of 51 points. Well, does he have to go for this red along the cushion here? I felt like he did. I felt like he needed to go for that one. He clearly felt like that was going to be a little bit too ambitious for him, but... Well, this is going to be bringing this frame into a very interesting conclusion, you would see, because now 51 points in the lead, 51 points at the table. Of course, Saengkham needs to be very much, cautious of leaving any one of those reds away, because if you sort out that pocket from the left-hand side of the blue there, which Trump is having a very good look at right now, ideally, he wants to try and aim one of those reds into the black there, put the black to be over the pocket, so that if he does get a chance of potting the red, he's going to be able to try and keep himself in the chance here to fight for a respot black here. So then let's see if that's going to be the case. For now, just carefully bouncing those two reds away from the third one. So, of course, Saengkham could always go for the shot into the left corner, but I don't think he's got the motivation, and I don't think he's got the technique to go for that. I think you literally do need a perfect shot there to squeeze that red past the blue. And if you don't, you're very much going to be on the risk of leaving that red to be over the pocket, potentially potting the blue, of course, as well, which would be allowing Trump to go for the respot. But now the double kiss is made, and, well, that's just about going to be okay there for Nippon. I don't think Trump can go for the red like this into the right corner, so he's just going to have to settle for a safety shot here. And once again, aim that red towards the other two and get the cue ball to be lined up in a very safe position there when he comes down to the top-hand side of the table. Once again, this time around, he got a lot closer in relation to that red sitting on towards the left side cushion. But, of course, this is where a potential for a re-rack can come in, but I don't think it's going to be the case in this particular frame there. Based on what we see with Nippon, I think he is going to... Oh, that's an interesting shot there. It's a very interesting shot there. Is he going to be a fluke? Well, it's going to be a bit of a gift there for Trump. And what can he make out of the gift? Remember, he does need every single one of those reds to be taken with the black. And how on earth do you get yourself to be lined up for the black from this red? Well, answers on the postcard. Let's see if he's going to be able to get close to it. No, he won't. Yeah, that was always going to be... Incredibly, that was a situation where leaving a red away was the best thing that Saengkham could do, because for me, there was absolutely no way that Trump was going to be able to put that cue ball to be in behind the black. If he did, he becomes the favourite for the frame. If he didn't, he's still going to need snookers right now, as he's about to take that blue away from the corner pocket. And now he will be down to get one more red and colour combination. And then I think he can afford to lose one more point there before he needs to try and take the remaining red away with the colour. So in the end, it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to pot either one of those two. Let's see if he gets snooker in behind the black. No, he won't. So then 4-2 still seems to be very much on the cards there for Saengkham, and Trump just unable to put real pressure on him. Nippon can easily go for this red into the left middle, forget about the consequences, and just get himself 4-2 of a lead there. If he gets this red in, Trump has got no chance to recover, and it's close, and it's very close indeed. It is now going to be 4-2 of a lead there for Nippon Saengkham, as he now takes 46 points of a lead with 35 at the table. I don't think Trump is going to be coming back to the table. He simply doesn't have the game to find 3 snookers as it stands, especially with Nippon to be finding a snooker of his own. Well, Trump is going to try and find this one back there. There is a thing about the free ball here, but of course an alternative here is that Trump is the one that has to find himself escaping from a snooker. Let's see how close is he going to put the red towards the side cushion. He might have actually put that one close enough there, so that Saengkham is going to be forced into taking that red away with a safety shot there rather than trying to play it into the corner. That's what he's done. But once again Saengkham there, clearly no hurry there, and he's just going to carefully make his way towards the triangle of the yellow, green and brown. And even though there is still going to be a gap for Trump to squeeze past those three and try and get the red into a relatively safe area. And he's played that shot quite well, you have to say. There is room to go around the red. So then, could it work out after all? But of course, remember, he doesn't just need 4 points from a foul. He also needs a free ball here to be coming back into play. After that really good red that the pawn was able to pot in towards the left middle. Seems to have been the game changer for him. And now, let's see what's going to happen here. A shot onto the left side cushion. And needs to try and make this one from there. Just a single cushion escape. He has done so. And he got the snooker back onto Trump as well. That's not really going to make Trump to be feeling any better. But it was a really good shot there from the pawn. It was always going to be a bit of a tight angle that he found himself at. But at the same time, it was always going to be high risk or high reward. And gone for the reward out there. Now then, let's see what Trump is able to execute with this red. Just carefully trying to find that one past the blue there. And closer towards the right corner. Ultimately, I don't think the pawn is going to be able to go for this red here. But you still have to put it down to the first shot, the first attacking shot there that Trump was taking in the frame, where he left Saengkham with a chance. Of course, he only led to 5 points at the time, but he also gave initiative away to the pawn at that stage of a frame, and never seemed to have lost the grip on that particular part of the game until the end of the frame number 6. Still think Trump is probably trying to, fight this one for trying to get a little bit of rhythm in himself rather than actually believing that he will be able to get those foul points that he needs. As once again, you can see a little bit of frustration there creeping in as he does inject a bit more of the pace there on the red than he probably would have needed to. But Saengkham has done a really good job of trying to frustrate his opponent. Once again, I think his safety has been absolutely, top level. And also, I think his chance creation for himself has not been that bad. I think the fact that Trump has been missing out on so many of those long reds certainly helped his case as well. But when it comes down to the most important 2 factors there, of the, 3 if you want to put positional play and pot success as the number 4, I still think that Trump is going to be very much second best in every single one of those aspects of the game. And that's exactly why he finds himself 2-3 down and on the verge of being 2-4 down as well. As the red is now available for Saengkham, but he's unable to take this one away. Let's see what Trump is going to be thinking about right now. I mean, he's got the perfect line to try and pot the red, but of course he's not really going to be interested in that. So what can he try and do out there? Surely he's not going to try and actually pot the red. So got that one into the jaw. A little bit too much pace. And once again, it's not really going to help his own momentum or his own motivation and happiness levels if he just keeps on being a little bit short there of getting those snookers in. But at some stage, he clearly feels like he's going to be able to get one of them to be working in his favour. As for now, the cue ball is going to follow the red on towards the black ball cushion. He's going to stay there. And the red is going to go all the way towards the ball cushion as it stands right now. So then Trump still behind by 46. So I'm still ahead by 46. And apart from the pink, the green and the black, there's not really going to be an awful lot of chances for him to try and create a difficult snooker in behind off. But I think, and this time of asking, there is going to be plenty of room to try and get in behind of that red and try and get around it. So there is going to be a chance here for Saengkham to try and get past the right side cushion and still, avoid a contact on the red, which of course is not going to be part of his plans. Played that shot with power, but once again, I mean, his snooker escape success has been absolutely brilliant. And you feel like Trump is not really going to have anything to pick up from here, as it's just a straight line of the red along the cushion. Now there is going to be a chance for the cue ball to be taken a long way there from the right side cushion as well. And there is now a chance of playing this cue ball in towards the red there, and therefore there will be an opportunity here for Saengkham to try and get himself out of a snooker situation. But it's not quite as easy one as the previous, you have to say, because there will be down to a shot on the brown here to be taken. So yeah, you can try and potentially look for a shot onto the left side cushion, but I think the one on the right is a little bit more logical, because you know, I suppose it doesn't really make a massive difference, but the one on the right, you don't really have the brown and green in the way, and he's not going to be anywhere near catching the red there. So it's going to be 4 points to be given away there over to Chom. Not seeing too many of those occasions. So then let's see what's going to happen if he's trying to get this red away from the cue ball. He just needs it to be pulling up in a straight line, and he won't. So let's see if he's alternatively going to find his way exactly behind the yellow, which I think he has done. And he might have got away with that one with Chom there. Still trying to get an attempt of a snooker situation once again, but let's see if that's going to happen here then. As Saengkham is still probably going to be looking at getting way to the right of the yellow and just using plenty of side spin, although he just about got the contact that he needed. And also the cue ball wasn't too close, wasn't too far away from dropping into the right middle there, but ultimately there is still 3 snookers there that Chomp will need. 42 behind, well, 2 to be fair, I should say. 2 snookers that he will need. So 1 snooker and a free ball could come into place as well, if he does take that red away with the black, which is probably the worst of the colours to be in quite a bad position there. Chomp just decides to try and make it down to the yellow to be the separator in between the cue ball and the red. Hasn't worked out on this occasion for him though. And he will be down to the cue ball, just to be sent probably towards the lower end of the table. Saengkham goes for an alternative shot, tries to put the yellow and brown in between the red and the cue ball. Not sure if he's managed to achieve that, but even if he has, I think a little bit of side spin might work out nicely in favour of Chomp. And he's actually become the player that was very much the guy that has forced Saengkham into exactly the same position there as what Saengkham was trying to sort of put onto Chom there, having to swerve around the yellow to get the contact on the red. Let's see if he gets this one in. And just about did. Putting the blue to be safe as well. Just doesn't seem like he's going to be getting any sort of invitation away to Chom for free. And yeah, played the really nice shot on the previous time of asking, because just led that red towards the left side cushion. But now Chomp clearly trying to get in behind of the green, unable to do that on this occasion, and therefore it's going to be another chance that he's not going to be able to use here. And I think Saengkham is just going to be playing this red towards the green pocket. Doesn't need to worry about leaving a chance away. And of course, after a very lengthy previous frame, this frame could be about to come to an end here, because the red, even though it's not going to drop into the corner pocket, I think it is going to be every chance that the frame is going to be stopped in a single shot time there. Because Chom needs to obviously pot the red, which he has done, but he's not going to be on the collar. And I think he will attempt to be potting the pink, but if he doesn't get that one in, then he will be all down to frame conceded. And a 4-2 lead there, a very healthy advantage for Nippon Saengkham, and ultimately a great chance for him as well to try and take another top seed away, as the pink is going to disappear off the table, and there will be a frame concession there from Chomp. As now Nippon Saengkham has got a lead of 4 frames to 2 after the opening 2 frames that he was able to win against Chomp. Chomp responded with his own 2 frames on the bounce that he was able to win, and now it is Chomp that has to find himself on the back foot after losing 2 frames on the bounce once again. And let's see if the tendency is going to continue, and there is going to be 2 more frames in a row there that Chomp is going to be able to win. But for now, he does find himself in a position which is not going to be too familiar to him, as he becomes the underdog for a round 2 match of the main draw out there. Let's have a look how Anthony McGill and Saengkham are doing meanwhile. Sao somehow managed to convert that 44th points of a deficit in the previous frame and, win that 7th frame. He's now finding himself in a titanic battle over frame number 8. So, certainly not giving that one up just yet. But, yes, Saengkham now being the favourite in terms of the odds. But as I said, listen, I think Saengkham played better than what I expected of him. But in 9 times they met against each other, Trump has only lost once. I think, from what I remember, me checking, I think he was in the Welsh 4-1. Yeah, in 2018, yeah. And that was the only match, they've played against each other where Saengkham was victorious. And that was very much into the first round as well. So that wasn't really something that Trump had to worry about too much at that stage. But, he still felt like it was going to be very much down to a decent opportunity here for Trump to be running away with that even further, but not necessarily on this occasion. And now then, there will be an opportunity here for Saengkham to get himself in that position where Weezer has found himself yesterday up against Yao and Cheng, but of course in roles reversed where the underdog is actually the one putting the pressure onto the favourite. And he's certainly going to be adding a little bit more of the action towards the match of Ronnie O'Sullivan and Jackson Page, because you have to say, you will be down to either one of those two to play Saengkham as it stands, because he's the one leading by 4 frames to 2. Now or never for Trump. Yeah, I agree. I think he needs to step up here, but I felt like, as I said, a 2-3 down, the reasoning for him to be 2-3 down, he felt like he needed to step up before the start of the 7th frame, which is about to begin now after the break-off shot is done, when we get the players to be coming back to the arena. If it was down to Chomp playing well and Saengkham playing well as well, and then he was down to Napon, just getting the most out of his chances, then you could say, Chomp can leave it a little bit later because he's got capability of his own to be playing well later on there. But I don't think that's been the story of the match. And I think the story of the match has been that Trump has been struggling. Saengkham has been putting all the pressure on him. And now, once again, if you look at through every single one of the aspects through the eye test, safety, Napon has got the lead. Pot success, he's probably even, but I think Napon's got the slight edge as well. Positional success, absolutely Napon's got the advantage. Long shots, if it's a draw, I don't think we've seen any one of them to be particularly great when it comes down to the long range shots. So I'll probably give that one to Napon again. And then, you accumulate all these things and then you wonder why you're going to be surprised that, he's the one very much leading away there. And, of course, 93 ball spotted, 90 for Trump there. A minor advantage for Napon, but I think that's down to, the frames have been close. The frames have been really, really close out there. And the scoring for Trump has actually been better, which you might wonder how is that going to work. But I think the positional play has been better for Napon. And the pot success has been better for Napon. But when it comes down to those particular chances for Trump, he either puts himself out of play on the first 3 shots, which of course doesn't count towards the average break, but I think he's got a lot more of those, breaks of 10, 5, 9, whatever. And then he also has got a lot more of century breaks. Sorry, not the century break, but the breaks of 90 plus out there, whereas the highest break of Saengkham is 64, but that's been the maximum that he needed to try and win the frame here. As he's gone for a bit of a, aggressive attacking long range shot. It's a brilliant shot there from Chom, but once again, lacking a little bit of the cutting edge of the black there. I think he might get away with this one though, because of how difficult it was, because of the red getting in the way there. So he just needs to try and take this black away, and he hasn't. Well, it's been the story of the match for him. A brilliant long red for once, actually, and still unable to take that chance away. This is now chance for now and ever for Saengkham, because now he will actually fancy his chances, and you feel like Trump may be done here, unfortunately, because, as I said before the match has started, either for me, Trump dominates or Saengkham wins the match. There's just not going to be anything else there, because you need Saengkham to play well, and Trump doesn't really have that great ability of playing well when his opponent, especially, I did say he's great when it comes down to head-to-head against the lower ranked players, but, I did also correct myself. We haven't really seen him play against plenty of them in the second part of the season. Because, you know, who are you going to put as a lower ranked player in the World Championship? No one. In the Masters, no one. In the World Grand Prix, Players Championship, Tour Championship, there's not going to be anyone apart from the top 16 players. So, you know, it was very much down to that being the reason for Trump potentially not having a negative record there of head-to-head in between the players. And ultimately, I think you have to put it down to a decent opportunity being there for Trump, but he wasn't quite able to utilize it on this particular occasion. So I still think Saengkham is going to be looking at a really good opportunity, a fantastic position ahead of him, which, you know, could have easily been very much the one for Trump to try and recover from, but at the same time, it's now going to be all the way for Nippon to try and get his hands full off as he now plays the black in towards the left corner. He's got at least 4 more reds to take away there before he needs to be worried about the other couple of reds too much. Still looking for the pink potentially to be the great potting angle there in relation to if you pot the blue, you get that cue ball to be positioned on towards the pink there. I think you've got a great line to try and take that cue ball straight in towards the pink and therefore make a great advantage of that position being ahead of yourself. So 17 plays 1 there for Saengkham for now, and he's still got a decent opportunity of playing the black in towards the right corner. If he plays this one with plenty of power, I think he's still going to have plenty of opportunities out there as he now plays the black into the right corner, gets that cue ball to be away and onto the left hand side of the red there that he's going to be taking on in towards the left part of the table. I still think there is going to be a point where he can go wrong there for Saengkham, but I think, you know, that point is probably going to be the only one in the entire frame there, unless, you know, there is going to be a positional play mistake before that, because I think with pot success, you know, there have been a couple of mistakes there, but they all seem to have come before the intermission. And ever since that point of a break of 15 minutes there, we haven't really seen Trump to be back with that momentum and back with that rhythm, which saw him come back into the action there with the scoreline being fairly even in between himself and his opponent. But now, all of a sudden, you just find yourself in a position where he was a bit of a 50-50, and now all of a sudden, he has been turned completely on his head there in favour of the Saengkham, and now he does find himself to be in a position of, well, a lot of comfort there, you have to say. You know, playing for the blue. Doesn't want to be straight in this one, though, because this is where he needs to be absolutely spot on when it comes down to any positional play that he does. And I think he might have to go for the red in towards the left corner here. Try and take that blue away in towards the left middle. Play with plenty of backspin. And just try and find himself in a position of looking for the red to be taken here in towards the left corner. Well, could still work out there for him. But it remains to be seen if that's actually going to be the case for Nippon Saengkham right now. Looking for that red to be taken in towards the left corner. And now, well, I mean, he's probably very unlikely to be positioned for the blue right now, which I think is a mistake. I think he should have left it a little bit sooner. Well, let's see if he can get that cue ball to be positioned past those reds. And, well, he can still get the position on the blue, you know, which is a great advantage for him. He has overrun for it slightly. When I say slightly, a lot. And he doesn't really have a backup. Well then, the shot that could turn out to be the shot not just for the frame, but for the match in general. I don't see Trump recovering from 5-2 down, and he will be 5-2 down if the blue is in, and Saengkham will be on the red. The blue is in. Easy on the red, though. I think he's got, yeah, he's certainly going to be having at least one of those reds above the black there. Well, it does seem like that red and the black mistake, well, the brilliant red from Trump and the mistake on the black is going to cost him very, very dearly when it comes down to the end result of the frame, but also the match, as I say. I think Saengkham played a really good frame so far, and now he's about to make it his third break of 50 plus. His highest breaks being 43, 48, 51, 64, and his average being 44.2. Still lower than the break that we've seen of Jutron, but I think once again it doesn't really tell you the whole picture. And Chomp is about to find himself 5-2 down. So, well, a very, very bizarre performance from someone like Jutron, and I think that is going to be pretty much a guarantee that he will not be staying as the world number one. until the Wuhan Open. He's going to lose that spot either to Robertson or Xington there because, or well, potentially to Weezer if Wu is to go all the way there and potentially find himself in a position of getting to the final. But the fact that he's going to be, well, looks like eliminated in the first round is going to be another frame for him to try and win there in relation to Saengkham. But this one just seems like if he loses at this stage, he will be another one of those frames there where he has missed the blue off the spot, the reds into the left middle against Chomp previously in the match. But, you know, remember, those two frames that Chomp has won, you know, they weren't without mistakes. And that's why it was extra crucial for Saengkham to come away after the intermission being the leading player. That's exactly what he's done so far. And now 58 points down here. He's about to find himself playing a frame ball in towards the right corner. Yes, he decides to go the other way of the red. So just carefully going to try and drop that one in to the left-hand side of the table as he now finds himself 65 points clear with 67 remaining. Well, let's see what's going to happen here then. But you would have to say it's Yao Bencheng against Weezer, alternative reality, or is it, once again, I mean, why is that red dropped in? He apologised to Chom, but I just don't understand the point of it. I genuinely don't understand the point. And I'll tell you what, I genuinely don't think it is the accident. Chom has not played well, but I don't think it is the accident we are seeing so many of the top seeded players to be eliminated because the pockets have been made in absolute buckets. Because what you expect from the best 16 in the world is they're going to be always relying on the cue ball control. Everyone. Even someone like Weezer that is basing his game around being very much down to getting himself out of problems, he still bases his game around the positional play there. And that's exactly why someone like Saengkham, Bencheng, you know, Gilbert to a certain extent, but certainly someone like Liu Hongyu against Hawkins, that's exactly why they've been winning. And I don't believe in a coincidence like this. Tell me when, if, of course, Saengkham is able to win another frame out there. Thank you, Chum. Have a good rest. You wanted something last week. Well, we'll see. He's still got a chance to try and do something in the last frame, but I don't think it's a coincidence. And I think they need to do something about it because all the hype, all the expectations of such a massive tournament, and yet, you know, we nearly lost the world champion. We're going to lose, you know, Hawkins, Williams, Ding, and potentially there's now going to be 4 chances for Saengkham to try and lose Chomp as well, very much in the first round. I just don't think that's what the snooker is all about. Yes, you want to give the chances away to the lower ranked players, but you don't really want to just gift it to them. And I think that's exactly what happened there. Because think about the way of what we've seen in the match of Yao Bencheng against Weezer, but also Saengkham against Chomp. All the mistakes from Saengkham have come from the positional play. The vast majority of the mistakes from Chomp as well. That was the score I was thinking, but not for the good guy. Well, yeah, I mean, let's see. It's still going to be very much down to 4 frames to be winning on the bounce there, as Saengkham does make it a century break. He started from 0, but, you know, look at the scoring for the match in between Gilbert and Ding. Look at the scoring in the match of Lee Hon Yu against Murray Hawkins. Look at the scoring of the match against Joey Long and Mark Williams. 3 centuries in the match between Yao Bencheng and Weezer, and now a century break to be made by Nippon Saengkham. I genuinely don't think it's a coincidence, and I'm not all here for the conspiracy theories, but I think they've done a very poor job of making the conditions as challenging as they could have done, and that's exactly why I think we are going to lose, you know, pretty much everyone, if not, well, certainly the majority, if not everyone, out of the top 16 down in the first couple of rounds, which, I mean, for the underdog story is going to be great, but I'm not sure that's something that you want to see from the standard of play there, because tell me a match where you've seen a player to play well. Joey Long, yes, absolutely, as Saengkham is quite unable to make it a total clearance, but still, a break of 120 points, and he's now going to have a lead of 5 frames to 2 out there. You tell me a really good performance, because if you think Saengkham had a good performance, I'd say think again. I'd say think again. He's had way too many mistakes on the pot success still, even though with those pockets out there, and still there have been so many chances given away there to Chomp based on the positional play there. And just the problem for Trump is that he's had even more of those mistakes. But I also think, even with those mistakes from Trump, he still would have been leaving as the winner after those 7 frames. If we've seen the conditions that we've seen at Leicester for the qualifiers, this is if we've seen the conditions for the Championship League, or we've seen the conditions that made him the finalist of the Champion of Champions. How's Sal on the other table? It's going to be another interesting point there, because I think with Sal against McGill, I wouldn't really put it down to that, because I think McGill is a really good player. I'm not too sure why he finds himself in a position of the ranking where he is, but he's a really good player. He's a really good challenger there. It's now Saengkham leading by 5 frames to 3, but Anthony McGill is with a great chance once again of trying to make it frame to count for him. 31 points ahead as he pots the pink into the right corner. So still all to play for out there as well. But listen, Saengkham is still going to be the underdog in every single one of those frames when it comes down individually. You know, and you take those frames one by one there. Whether he's going to be a favourite all in all, well, you have to say absolutely yes. But, you know, let's wait and see what happens. But I still think there is going to be plenty of room there for improvement for both of the players. But, you know, the problem is Trump doesn't really have that luxury of, you know, having another chance later on in the frame or in the match. Because if he loses another frame, it's very much game over and he's out of the China Open. So we're going to have to wait and see on what's going to happen out there. So then let's see on what is going to be going on at the other table as well. But for now, we're going to have Anthony McGill with 32 points of a break, as he now run himself a little bit wide there on towards a shot onto the blue. Now then, there will be a break-off shot there from the Saengkham. We're ready to get the frame 8 underway. And, well, simply put, for Trump, he needs to win everything starting from now. He needs to be putting everything. He needs to be getting the perfect safeties, which probably is very unlikely to happen. But we've seen it before. Very rarely happens when it comes down to the top 16 players struggling and finding his form right at the end of the match. But, you know, I think one thing I would absolutely give all the credit to Saengkham for is his safety play. I think it's been absolutely superb. I think that's the reason why Trump hasn't really been seeing too many of those easy opportunities, as he carefully brushes the cue ball towards the reds. I think he just about managed to avoid the foul shot there. So Saengkham is just going to be looking at the very careful touch towards the main bunch of the reds here. And he will be down to Trump to find a chance for him to potentially play the cue ball away from the reds here. So the referee suggesting there's not going to be a touch and ball, which Trump certainly would have said thank you for. And, I mean, can he still just about find a way there of the cue ball getting past the blue there? And he has, so it's a great shot that he's played. Because now it probably limits it down to, you know, Saengkham to be the player having to, you know, play an aggressive shot, trying to get those reds to spread out away from each other. So then let's see what's going to happen. And I think if you just get that cue ball to be played into that area of the green, once again, seemed like you had a little bit too much pace, but the line, once again, is going to be absolutely brilliant there from the pond. And he will be down to a shot on the red taken very carefully into the left-hand side there. Trump should have been breast tested before he began this match. Well, I'll tell you what, he certainly has found himself in a position of partying, but I think if he was down to him winning Shanghai Masters, well, he could not have done that, but say, for example, today's Monday, and then he managed to win Shanghai Masters yesterday, then yeah, but, I mean, he's had the whole week to recover, and I'm not sure he's going to recover here, as he tries to play a shot from 2 cushions. He may have left the red over and into the left corner, and as I say, at this stage of a match, only one mistake, and he could be all over there for him, in relation to him being out of the China Open, and probably being, as I say, out of the world #1 ranking place as well. Because you'll have literally 3 of the players looking to try and make it in there instead of him, with Neil Robertson, Zhao Xington and Weezer all still, well, 2 of them yet to play their first round matches there respectively, but, you know, also you have to say, it will be down to a decent opportunity for someone like Weezer that has already managed to get himself through to the second round to try and make a little bit of a dent in the advantage that Trump has. But I think ultimately, it's going to be down to Robertson to be a guaranteed leader if you don't see the other ones performing too well, because of course he's going to have himself to be within that 500,000 worth of ranking points of his own when you compare the points that Trump is going to lose out on because of Saudi Masters tournament not being held this season and not being there in the foreseeable future either. Once again, a great exchange of safety shots there, as Trump has found himself to be the player looking to try and miss the brown, which he hasn't done. So let's see if that's going to give the momentum away to Saengkham, which he's going to be looking for. But I'm not sure if it's going to be down to a chance for the red taken into the left or the right-hand side of the table here, which, I'm not sure about it, but I think it probably will be down to a shot on the reds. Very careful onto the left-hand side there. He's going to have to settle for a safety there. And it's not necessarily a safety which could be classified as an easy one for him to take on. But once again, looking to try and get in behind the brown. Look at the shot that he's played there. Absolutely brilliant there from the Saengkham. And he's now managing to put all that pressure over into Judd Trump. And, well, literally, he could not have placed that cue ball anywhere better in behind that brown. It's perfectly in behind of it. You can't see the left or the right side cushion. He's going to have to play this one in towards the bulk. And, well, there's a chance waiting to happen there for the pawn. But Trump clearly feels like he's going to be able to get this one first time. And he is. But the question is, has he left any one of those reds available to be taken into the left part of the table? Doesn't seem like he's left the red into the left middle, which is great news for him because that was the closest one that he was always going to get to. But the question is, has he still left the chance for the reds in towards the left part of the table there? So let's see if that's going to be the case. For now, though, here you Saengkham looking to try and go for the red. In towards the left corner. Played this one with plenty of power and just trying to accelerate the cue ball away from those reds and into the top part of the table. Plenty of power out there. And, well, didn't really want to see that red absorb all the power there from the cue ball as he now gets the red in. But how about the positional shot on the blue? He's always got the yellow to be available to him, but I'm not sure it's going to be easier either from the potting perspective or from the perspective of trying to get on the reds in towards the right middle. And in the end, he's absolutely thundered the blue in towards the corner. But to be fair, he doesn't seem like he's going to get anything. Well, he will get the chance of taking the red right above the black there into the corner. So it's not like he's got absolutely no option to him. But he felt like after he was taking that blue with so much power, he probably would have been hoping for something better for him. But let's see. He will be very much down to the finish line if he does get this red in and sorts out the positioning for the colour, especially if it's going to be down to the blue. Preferably wants to try and get the pink in the way in the foreseeable future as well. But for now, he's about to get a bit of a cannon. And I think it was the pink itself. And he's now going to be very straightened towards the yellow. So still hanging on there. But seemingly a little bit of a struggle there, it seems, at the opening stage of this frame, as we now reach the 3-hour mark for just 7.5 frames, which probably tells you that it's not quite been free-flowing as we would have expected it to be. Don't think we've seen any of the century breaks either, because, the one up until the previous frame, where Saengkham was able to make it a break and nearly a total clearance of 127 points, nearly twice as much as his previous highest break. And Trump, of course, he has to settle 4 breaks of 83 and 91, which, of course, have won him those 2 lonely frames there that he has got on the board. So, there certainly was something in there, but the bottom line was that something wasn't enough. And Trump is about to find himself in an almighty struggle, but, for whatever reason, I don't really understand why Saengkham has decided to go against the decision of taking that red away in towards the right middle, get himself a guarantee of a shot on the blue. He's played a good shot now to be lined up on the pink, but I still don't really understand why he had to take the risk away with that. So just carefully manages to pot the pink in towards the left middle. And now position himself nicely for the red, taking in towards the right middle as well. So that if he does manage to get the cue ball to be getting past the red here and to be top side of a blue, which he hasn't really managed to achieve. And, well, I mean, he could afford to be wrong side of a blue. I don't really think he could afford to be perfectly straight on it. And, well, now the bottom line is, what's the situation on the pink? Can he try and go for the pink now? Because that would certainly make it worth it for him. So I've been brought the pink back into the open play. Still not an easy shot. Not an easy way to get on the collar, but at least there is going to be an opportunity for you. And yes, there will be. As the pink is now potted, the red is still available to him to be taken into the right corner. But, of course, the bottom line is, once again, he's just looking 2 steps further away than your nose. And I'm just not sure he's going to be able to, especially with the spider. He might have to settle for the black now to be taken into the left corner here, Saengkham, because it will be so difficult for him to get any traction on the cue ball to get it somewhere near the pink, and therefore I think the easiest thing to do is the hardest thing to do at this stage, to be fair. The easiest being the hardest, because the black is going to be such a difficult shot for you to be taking on. But, I mean, he's got a little bit of the angle, and I think he's just, well, once again, talk about the pockets. That red should never disappear into the right corner, but he has. But I think on this occasion, it's not really going to make a massive difference out there. And the worst thing, you know, you can see and you can predict sometimes when you see those reds to be getting towards the pockets, like you know it's going to be a mistake now. And you can see that in the player's eyes as well. They've got no clue if it's going to drop. And that's not a great sign there. But as I say, the black was going to be very much limited to him. And yeah, he didn't get too close to that one in relation to the angle that he was seeing there of the black. So then 24 points of a lead. And Watchalong has now got 24 points of a difference here to try and catch up in between himself and Naporn Saengkham on his way. And potentially trying to pull off an almighty comeback to still be through to the second round of the main draw. Now, hasn't lost a match this season so far. The only player to have done that alongside someone like, well, I think Jack Jones has lost a frame already. And lost the match, I should say, as Trump once again just unable to find the safety shots, which have been such a great force for him at the Shanghai Masters. Now, it seemed like it's going to be a great force for his opponent, but still, he got the blue to be hammered away there from the cue ball, and now he'll certainly put himself in a position of trying to go for the red in towards the left corner. All for safety it was. Now then, what can he make here with Saengkham? Because it's still not an easy shot for him to take on. Having to go for the red in towards the left corner. He's missed that one. And the question is, has he fluked it? Brilliant camera work. I mean, can't see anything. Fantastic. Thank you very much. I mean, we've got no idea what happened, but yeah, I mean, basically what happened was he's missed the red. He clearly didn't fluke it because he's walking away from the table. And yeah, didn't really leave anything away for Trump here either. So, doesn't seem like it's going to get any better here for Judd at this particular part of the frame. You may as well go for the red, to be fair, you have to say, in relation to the right corner. And if he's going to be looking to try and go for the red and play for the black there, I mean, he's always going to put a little bit of distance in between himself and that problem ball for him. But, you know, whether he was going to be seeing that black away or not remains to be seen. But for now, just having to go for a shot on the red didn't really work out. He missed out on the red. But of course was always going to be playing that cue ball away from the dangerous point of view. And just going to have a red available to him here for Saengkham, of course, at the right corner if he wants to try and fancy his chances. Because, you know, if you want to try and play it safe, I feel like that's going to be very much a tactic to try and frustrate Trump even more. Because that way we're going to have a very, very lengthy frame here. And the resolution to this match is not going to be soon. That much I can tell you. Because, well, Trump is still looking for a potential chance of squeezing one of those reds past the black there and into the right corner, which not an easy thing for you to do. But he may as well do something now. 24 points down in the 8th frame, what could be the deciding frame of the match for him as well, should he lose it. And to be fair, whether he was down to just a safety shot that he was planning, he certainly played a really good positional shot there on the cue ball. And despite not really being anywhere near the contact point of the reds towards the left corner. So, and see how much time there will be to be spending between the players. For now, the black is about to be put even closer towards the pocket, but ultimately, I mean, Saengkham gets away with that one. He certainly has got away with a chance there because the black is now in a very difficult position. South 6-3 against McGill. So once again, I mean, how on earth has McGill found himself in a position of being 40 points clear in one frame, 44 in the other, and he's lost both of those frames out there, so thank you very much there. South clearly over the finish line there then. Yeah, but Saengkham got very fortunate with the yellow coming into the play there, right in behind the cue ball, because if that wasn't the case, there would have been a potential chance for Chomp to go for a long range shot into the right corner. And as it stands, it's going to be back down to the safety play here. And plenty more of the action for the safety enthusiasts to be seen. Now then, let's see if there's going to be cover onto that dangerous red, and there will be. So we're just going to have to form a pack over that left corner, and then thanks happy for Zhao. Well, certainly going to be the second player only of the top 16 to make it through the first round. And great shot there from Chomp. It's a really nice shot there from Judd, because even though he's still left a considerable amount of reds available there, fallen upon Saengkham into the left corner, which of course is still going to be covered up by the black. Let's see what he's going to try and achieve here. Playing for the red next to the pink didn't really work for him. But the question is, has he left anything available for Chomp? And the answer is yes, he has. The alternative though, what can he actually do with his position? Because the black is compromised so deeply by those reds that, I mean, personally, I don't really see a way out, which is going to be an easy one out there. But, I mean, at some stage, you just might have to play the shot with a bit of a blind shot there of the cue ball into those reds. And at the end of it all, for now, at least there is a chance there for Chomp to try and stay in the frame, as he now positioning himself to be onto the brown here. And one thing you have to say about Saengkham is that majority of those frame wins did come from a couple of opportunities there. So Chomp just must hang in there for as long as he possibly can. And when he does, the chances should come to him. Just needs to try and stay patient. And of course, when he does get those chances, he needs to be very much able to take them away. And this position is one of a kind here, of course, because you've got the blue, you've got the pink, and you've got certainly the black to be out of position, compromising all those shots on the left-hand side as well. Let's see now as he takes a very careful shot on the red. And now this is where he needs the angle on the brown to try and make a little bit of a mess there. Whether he wants to try and do that now, or probably the more sensible approach is going to be to try and pop that red into the green pocket. And then at that stage, it's going to be all down to, well, he's tried to go for it now. Let's see how his luck is going to be. Not going to be bad. It's not going to be great, but not going to be bad again, I'm going to say. I think surely he's going to have at least one of those reds to be available. What a shot that was. Even worked out there for Chomp, because that certainly was ambitious. And, well, doesn't seem like he can see through a red in towards the right corner, which he would have liked to. Although he is coming back round to have a look at it again. No, he certainly can. Well, that's a massive boost to him. And now he just needs to try and treat this very narrow and very awkward position in the best possible manner there for himself. Because now, only 13 points behind. Don't know why he's on 14 for me. There you go. Sort that out. 11 points out there for Jutrum. So then, 13 points behind. Still looking at the black to be taken into the left corner. And, well, certainly have played a shot of the day out there to be on the red. Brilliant there from Judd. And now just looking to try and make the most out of this position. Well, I'm not sure if he has done that. He's obviously got a red over the green pocket in case the things do go badly wrong for him. But I'm not sure he's going to need to use that one just yet. I think there is going to be a red which goes past the gap in the middle, which of course is going to be exactly the red that he wants to try and take away, because the more reds that he takes away from the middle, the more reds he's going to have on the left and the right hand side of that particular red that he's going to be able to sort of see to follow up the previous one. Listen, 4 frames for Chomp to win is not an impossible mission, but it's going to be a mission normal if he does actually try and get himself into, condition of playing well. For now, he's been going very carefully and very steadily about this current break, and he just needs to try and stay on that path until the end of the match now. not having the cushion of the ability of making a single error there, especially when it comes down to the second phase of the frame there, which he certainly has entered now, as he finds himself ahead for this particular frame for the first time. And after being 24 points down, you may feel like it was all over for him, but certainly still trying to fight back here. Not the best positional shot that he played, but clearly happy to see the cue ball not to be tied up to the other red, in case the batsman would have been a little bit too much for him to play. Once again, not seemingly too satisfied there with the way that he hit the cue ball with the tip of his cue. But bottom line is the black is comfortably into the pocket. And if you take those reds individually, I think he's got a great chance of spotting all of them. You know, not forgetting, of course, about the red that he's got over and into the green pocket that he can take. But this shot is not going to boost his morale at all. Well, I feel like that was a little bit careless there from Chump. Well, that's going to cost him dearly, because I think even though he's still on the black there, the thing that he was trying to avoid with that batsman, as I mentioned, is to be hovering over the red. Well, he has to go for the black now, but he may just be, well, I mean, once again, I'm not going to be complaining about the pockets just when Trump loses. I'm going to be complaining about the pockets even when he's playing. That black should never disappear, but he has. And of course, based on the match conditions, that's exactly what you have to put up with, and you have to exploit the maximum out of it. But I still think the question has to be raised of why that maximum was available. What is that from Trump there? I mean, sums up the match for him, I would say. How do you miss a red like that into the green pocket? The one that he seemed to have carried as a bit of a backup option in case of any problems. Well, seemed to have not used that insurance well at all. But interestingly enough there, he got the snooker lines up for that red. So means Saengkham is able to sort of catch the cue ball on towards the bowl cushion, played into the red, and of course still not something that he's going to be entirely satisfied with. I think he needs to play that shot with plenty of power for him to be far away from those reds, so that he's going to have a chance of playing for another red. Well, in the end, I think he's going to be absolutely nowhere. Somehow he got himself underneath the black there, despite the red being pretty much into the green pocket. So 17 points as the difference, 51 at the table. I think he's going to call either brown or black there. Remains to be seen which one. And it is going to be the brown that he has called. So just carefully trying to position the cue ball in behind the yellow. I don't think he's played that shot too well, though. I think there is going to be a chance for Trump to play a safety with a very thin contact on the left-hand side of those reds. So there's a chance to try and take this shot away. Play it with plenty of power behind it as well. And, well, clearly wasn't happy with the way that he's taken that shot out there. And, well, I mean, he could not have played that shot any worse, I will tell you that for free, because he had two reds that were safe. He had a red that was dangerous, and now he's got three reds in open play, and all three of them pretty much to be over the pocket. I think the only thing that might save him is the pink. He's completely out of position, but I'm not sure that Saengkham will actually need that pink, because he's now 17 points. Well, he might do. It depends on if he's able to take those reds with expensive colours there, because, you know, if you take the pink away, it's now 38 points that he's able to score on 25. So that's, yeah, you can't really afford to be messing around with points here. I think he can afford to take the blue ones, though, which was the colour that he's played. Pretty fortunate not to find the jaw or the left middle pocket in its entirety, but ultimately still looking for the blue to be taken now. And if he takes the remaining two reds with the black, then he should not need the pink at all. And the blue will be the match ball there for Nippon. So, all in all, it's been a very disappointing match there for Trump for multiple reasons. But, you know, it's been a very positive performance there from Saengkham, despite struggling occasionally, but still being able to perform by far the better out of the two players. Whether it's down to the conditions, whether it's down to the opponent struggling, whatever the reason is, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters for him is the result. And he's going to try and carry over that result into the second round match there, of course, where he'll play either Jackson Page or Ronnie O'Sullivan if he's able to get another 7 shots away. Starting out nicely with a black to be taken into the right corner. Needs to do that again, and then he'll find himself a couple of points ahead there before taking the ball colours and the blue, which of course is going to be the equivalent of 14 points. And if he's taken any sort of a lead before the yellow, which he's going to be verifying and checking there for himself, then he's going to be very safe in relation to this match to be won for him as well. Now then, once again, checking the scoreboard to make sure that he has done his maths right, I should say. And maybe that's why he was checking it, because he wanted to go for the blue there. I don't really think it matters, really, because he could take the yellow right now, and the blue will still be the match ball for him. Just because he loses 2 points on the blue, as he decides to take it instead of the black, doesn't really mean anything for him. As he now carefully takes that cue ball on a journey towards the left side cushion, puts it closer towards the yellow now to be taken. And, well, I'll tell you what, it could have been a little bit wider on the yellow and closer towards the left side cushion, because he doesn't want to be straight on this one. I'm not sure the green is going to go into its own pocket, and therefore he might have to play this one in towards the right middle, which is not an easy thing for him to do. And of course the blue is going to be the match ball, but you still have to get to that stage. And he's still got 4 shots between himself and winning this match. Now then, the first shot is going to be very important now. And let's see. Well, I mean, he's clearly happy with the green going into its own pocket. It doesn't look like that to me. But we'll see if that's the case. I mean, that's a very weird shot selection if that is the case then, because that's going to be still putting it all down to a battle for the green then. But let's see. The camera hasn't changed there to tell if I'm right with that one, but it seems to be very, very close in between the green passing past the brown. And also, even if that is the case, you still need to do a whole lot of spinning around of the cue ball for the white to be positioned for the brown. Now then, we're about to find out. Well, he didn't go. I could tell you from there, he didn't go. I don't know what he was thinking there, but he clearly was playing that shot. He was able to hold the cue ball, but I mean, that was a little bit weird. And anyway, 5 points right now is the difference in between Saengkham and Chomp. So Chomp is still in the action. Needs to pot the green first. And then he's going to be able to put himself in a position where Saengkham will need the pink as well. Brilliant shot though. And he certainly used the experience of needing to find snookers from the previous couple of frames. And he was able to find one now. Perfect shot there in behind the blue, the white goes. But this time around, Saengkham is not going to be in that position where he can afford to be leaving easy shots. But this, well, I thought nearly it was going to be a fluke into the middle. At the end of it, he will be a green available here for Napon to leave for Chomp there. Now then, he does need the green there. He mustn't underestimate the importance of this shot there, because of course now he does leave Saengkham to be needing the pink, which is a game changer. Yes, of course, you could say Trump also needs the pink, and he does. But ultimately now, it is down to the brown, then the blue, and then potentially, if he finds himself top side of a blue, he can always try and bring the pink into the open play. Nice little shot on the brown, and can Trump come back from the death? Still think it's going to be difficult for him to get on the pink now. But of course, only will need the pink if he gets the blue in, and Saengkham will need both of the colours. It's a massive attempt there, but not quite able to perform it at the end. So then, a cheeky little double. Probably he's not going to be the best of ideas when being 2-5 down. So then 7 points is the difference. So a foul, of course, here at this stage would mean that a respot is guaranteed there for Judd, unless there's going to be another foul to be brought into play. But ultimately, he's still back in the action, and Saengkham now finds himself in a position where he does need the pink and the black on both of those occasions. And if he's able to do that, then he's the match winner, and probably deservedly so. For now, it's going to be... Yeah, it does look like a bit like a respot, you know, in another variant, because, you know, Saengkham is just going to carefully place that pink on towards the right side cushion, and clearly Trump is going to be... Well, he's doubled that one. He's tried to. Ooh, that was a little bit too close for comfort there, but also, you want to be very careful with those type of shots there. You get too close, all of a sudden, it's going to stay in the pocket, and that's when, you know, the whole thing about having an extra colour for you to pot is not really going to be relevant. Saengkham trying to play the pink away from the cue ball, but he's going to leave that one available for Trump. The angle is there, to try and bring the cue ball home and try and place it somewhat close towards the black. And yeah, it doesn't really need to inject too much pace here. I think from these sort of angles, I think the pink is unlikely to stay very close to the pocket. And in the end, Trump with a brilliant shot there, and he's still going to be alive there. Well, I tell you what, Saengkham didn't need the pink, but he certainly needed the bold colors and the blue. And Trump is still going to be very much in the action out there. And for all his life, when it looked like he was going to be out of the equation, he's still going to come back to his seat and very much back in there with a hunt. He's going to have to win 3 more frames out there, but he has left himself with another opportunity. It is now Watchalong 3, Naporn Saengkham 5. And even though Saengkham is still by far the favourite, you have to say there is plenty of opportunities, you feel like, from Watchalong's point of view, because he's certainly shown that he's going to be a great fighter out there. And right now, he's showing that he's still very much made of the world #1 material. Some great performance out there for him. And ultimately, you have to say, it was down to some great steal and a great bottle there from Watchalong to come away with a really good result. And now, it will be all down to Watchalong to still be in the mix there. It is now Trump 3, Saengkham, and very much down to on 5 still. Well, he was 2 shots away from being on the match ball. He wasn't quite able to get a nice purchase on the yellow. I was surprised that he was happy to be straight on it as well, but at the same time, I was even more surprised when he decided to play for that shot in towards the green pocket, which for me clearly felt like it didn't go, especially with all the pressure and with all the variables into that particular effort. But whatever it wasn't really good enough, and now it will be all down to Trump to try and sort of expand on that, be a little bit further when it comes down to, playing a little bit better, performing a little bit better, and scoring a little bit more out there when it comes down to those points. Still, this is when sometimes trying to get over the finish line is going to be difficult there for the Pont, because remember, he started that frame very confidently with 24 points of elite. Then 40 points later, Trump was the player making a mistake, leaving that red over the green pocket. Got away with it slightly, but Saengkham was still able to put that red away. And then he came down to, a massive mistake from Trump, leaving all 3 reds to be available there. But at the end of it all, it was down to just one opportunity there that Trump needed to get himself right back in the mix. And then, of course, with a brilliant long-range shot with a pink, he's now put himself not right back in the action. I think that's going to be down to a decider, but still, he's got a break-off shot now ahead of him. And he's got another frame, which he has guaranteed himself to participate in. So then let's see. Trump then ready to get us underway for frame number 9, as he's still alive and still looking to try and make it towards the second round of the China Open main draw. Now then, the cue ball is about to make his way towards the right-hand side of the reds here. Plenty of power as usual. Let's see if it's going to be another one of those good break-off shots. Doesn't want to carry on running there for the cue ball, and I think he's managed to get away with leaving that dangerous red into the right corner. Come on, Judd, fighting well. Will you be commentating on Ronnie Jackson back? Well, I was literally just a second ago. I checked the time and I was thinking about it. I mean, not if he goes for another 2 hours. I think that's going to be a little bit extreme. But for now, yes. I mean, whenever Ronnie's playing, it's just going to be a very much a holiday out there for the snooker fans. And you want to be there when it happens. Hopefully he's going to win. And then, yeah, we've still got a chance of seeing Trump against Ronnie in the second round. I mean, can you imagine if Trump wins this one, and I'm not going to be doing a stream for that one, and for the match of Page against O'Sullivan, and then all of a sudden we'll find out that Trump and Ronnie are going to be facing each other there. Absolutely not going to happen. And Saengkham there played a decent enough safety shot. Now then, looking at the red in towards the right part of the table, I'm not sure the attacking option is going to be available to him, but the alternative is not really great for him either, because you can only see the attacking parts of those 2 reds. Therefore, if he can't get through to them, then there's not going to be a lot of a point for him to try and do anything with it. So, unless he wants to try and play a very careful shot on the right-hand side there and just get the cue ball to be... Well, that's a very risky shot there. I mean, yeah, he caught the backhand jaw off the middle, but that's That was unlucky there from Chomp a little bit to a certain extent, but at the same time, it was a very risky shot that he was attempting there. And, well, seems to have gone wrong. But let's see. He's been in this position before, where Saengkham only needed one frame. And he had an opportunity just like this in the previous frame as well. Only able to score 24 points out of it. And now, there is still going to be room for improvement there from both of the players. But ultimately, you're not really going to be looking for room for improvement now. You're going to be looking for Saengkham to try and get over the finish line. And let's see if he's going to be able to do that right now. So playing for the pink in towards the left corner and trying to get that cue ball across and onto the red taken into the right middle. And alternatively, of course, he's got a red into the right corner, which he's probably going to be a little bit more keen on, to be fair, because that red will be the one preventing the black from being available into the left part of the table. So then, still 129 more points there that he scored in relation to Watchalong in favour on the Saengkham, and he's about to try and expand on that a little bit further out there. It's, yeah, as I say, it's a very, very similar position to the one that he had in the previous frame. It's not going to be the one which wins him the frame without having to do something with the position there, so he's still going to need to work his way through the reds that are open to him, and then once he's done that, if he's done that, then he's going to be able to, you know, exploit a little bit more of the area when it comes down to the main pack of the reds, which I think is set up perfectly, by the way, for the split. So, you know, he's got 2 more reds to be taken after 15 points that he scored. But once again, I mean, he's played for this raid, but it just feels like another one of those, you know, greens or the reds that Chomp and Saengkham has misjudged previously, but not on this occasion. And doesn't want to be straight on the blue either. He's just about going to be top side of it. So then now, certainly got a great opportunity to try and score more than 24 points. And try and get himself closer towards that finish line. So then backspin on the cue ball. Doesn't want to be, yeah, I suppose he's played that shot about as well as he could have. Because he's not perfectly straight on the red, which will allow the cue ball to have a little bit of a brush with those reds. But I suppose, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking that could also cause a bit of a disruption there for him in case the cue ball gets stuck towards those reds. Well, he didn't get stuck, but he's gone all the way there, and he's now going to be positioned onto the left side cushion. So, once again, he's managed to improve the situation of a couple of those reds, which could actually take him all the way towards winning the match here, but he's still got a very, very tough black to be taken now into the corner of the side cushion. And he got that one in perfectly well, about as close to the front jaw as he could have got, but still missing out on any sort of contact. And now, well, Saengkham is certainly going to be dreaming for a chance like this yesterday, as he now puts himself 29 points clear and having plenty more reds available. I think a couple of reds which he has put onto the left side cushion as well, certainly one of them, which is going to be another problem for Chomp in case he's going to be coming back to the table, but doesn't seem likely right now. And there's still going to be a chance here for Nippon to try and get in behind of another red. Try and take that one away into the right middle. So once again, plenty of power on the cue ball that he's managed to apply. And now he's about to find himself 37 points clear. And ultimately still looking for a chance on the right-hand side of the table here to be available. Whether that works out for him or not, we have to wait and see. Still think he might do. He's now looking to try and take that red away. Plenty of power on the cue ball. And now looking to try and take the blue away in towards the left middle. 38 points right now is the lead. And he's going to be looking at a potential chance here of playing the cue ball away from the blue. Trying to get it all the way to, well, I mean, 2 cushion escape and just trying to hammer the cue ball in towards the reds would be a usual expectation there. But I just feel like when you are so close to the finish line, you just have to try and take all the loose reds, every single one of the loose reds away before eventually doing that. Still breathing. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great shot there from Chomp that got us into this position. And I think this one is, yeah, I think that one flies through, as Ronnie would say. And there shouldn't be any more problems than we've seen already. Just needs to not focus on that one too much. And, well, I think he has. He was focused on that one a little bit too much for me because he clearly tried to force his way out, which felt like he wasn't really confident with that. And therefore, you have to pay a bit of a price here. He's not on the blue into the middle. So he's either yellow into his own pocket or blue into the left corner. Still probably a lot easier to play the blue into the left corner here, but you know, one thing can add up to another. He's taking the red out of the middle, and he's played a really good shot on the blue, and he's still got the red on the right-hand side of the pink there, which probably is going to be, as it stands, the last of the available reds for him, but you know, it's still, unless he gets the perfect positioning into the other two reds on the left-hand side of the pink, which he's capable of doing, but it's certainly going to be a lot more difficult than the reds that he had to play for previously. And the fact that he's now playing for the black certainly confirms that as well. As well, I mean, still, it's not going to be the easiest thing to do unless he's trying to take the black into the left corner and play the cue ball into those two reds slightly underneath the pink, right next to one another, and then just hope that he's going to end up with one of those reds. You can always play for the red into the left or the right middle there, but that was not necessarily the shot that you want to be taking on when you're so close to winning the match there against the world number one. So let's see, what is it going to be there from the Saengkham? Is it now going to be down to a shot onto the black into the left corner? He was. Well, he got one of the reds out of the way, and in the end, if the other red goes past the pink into the right middle, then that should be very much frame and the match there, because you know you've got two reds very much available to him, and unless there's going to be an incredible mistake, it should be all down to the finish line there for the Saengkham. And after, well, doing that a frame later than he would have liked, of course, to do that in style with a single mistake from his opponent, and for him to just need one single opportunity here. 58 points right now is the lead. It'll be 63 points after the blue, and the next red and colour combination will certainly put him out of reach there, barring snookers. And, well. Let's see if he's actually on that red. I think he is. Okay. So he got way too close to the red on the left side cushion. And I'm still waiting to see if he's actually on that red. He was. I mean, that was way too close for comfort. But, yeah, of course, now he's going to have the pink as the match ball. And Trump, even though he's shown great character in the previous frame, now, of course, he's going to show that he is going to be still very much lacking that safety play for the China Open. I mean, where did that brilliant safety game from Shanghai Masters gone there? Whether it's down to the conditions, to the table, something else, the opposition. But Saengkham has been really good when it comes down to the safety play. He's probably not going to be out of the arena just yet there, Trump, because I think Saengkham is way too straight on the pink. So he's going to try and, well, he nearly potted the cue ball there. I mean, that was a little bit risky to try and pot the cue ball alongside the pink there. But now he's going to be 70 points clear, 67 at the table. And that's why I'm saying, you know, Trump has to carry on whilst there's only one snooker in it. But as soon as another red disappears, there'll be a handshake. And there will be the world number one to join the list of Hawkins-Williams. And it might be now. The red is just about going to wobble. And that will be the end of Jutrom. And probably the end of him being the world number one as well. You know, he's had time until Wuhan. Obviously only one ranking title until that point. And after not doing too well at the Crucible, when it comes down to the ranking events, you skip the Shanghai Masters, of course. And then you're going to be straight down to here. And just like it was last season where he lost in the opening round against Oliver Lyons, well, I don't think he's going to be coming back to the table. I think there will be a handshake. 78 points down. And Jutrom is going to be out of the China Open. Now, Saengkham has managed to win this match. And he's still going to be very, very happy to be in the second round of the main draw. It is Saengkham that takes out Jutrom. And he will be waiting for the winner of the match in between Jackson Page and Ronnie O'Sullivan. Once again, we're not going to see Trump against Ronnie for all the different reasons, but we could still see Saengkham to be playing against the 7-time world champion. As Ronnie against Jackson Page, well, could we see another upset on the top 16 seeds? 1.10 were the odds for Trump to win. 8.0 were the odds for Saengkham to be the winner. But for the second time in his life, Saengkham has managed to beat Jutrom out there, and he's going to be one of the biggest wins over when it comes down to the rankings. that you could possibly think about of this season. Anyway, it is now going to be Saengkham into the second round, and this is the end, my friends. Well, I'm afraid it was for Trom, but listen, for me, I always said it before the match, it was never going to win the Shanghai Masters and the China Open. That's just way too much for you to ask, and way too much competition, but I did expect him to absolutely fly through this round. Didn't happen. Put my hands up and say I was wrong on that one. But anyway, you have to say congratulations to Saengkham. He's played really, really good snooker, and he deserves to be very much on the winning team right now. Well, bye-bye, Trump, train back to Hong Kong. Well, yes, certainly. He's got 2 weeks now in between today and, of course, the Wuhan Open campaign, which is still hoping that he's going to be able to do a little bit better than last season after once again, in the first round, he was able to lose to Matthew Stevens away. So then, thank you very much for everyone watching. It's been a very interesting match to be seeing. Plenty of drama, plenty of action, but plenty of mistakes there from Judd Trump. It's once again the fourth of the top 16 players that we're going to see now crashing out of the first round of the China Open. For now, only Xiao Guodong and Weezer have been the players that have managed to get past the first round curse. And let's see if Ronnie O'Sullivan is going to join them, or is he going to join the respective club of Judd Trump. Barry Hawkins, Mark Williams and Ding Zhuyi also have been knocked out in the first round of the China Open. Thank you very much for everyone tuning in. Feel free to be back for Ronnie O'Sullivan against Jackson Page. Thanks for watching. And yes, as I say, stay tuned in for more action of the China Open as he continues to deliver plenty more upsets for all their own reasons. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay tuned in. Speak to you later.